Hello, everybody. Welcome to Frame Trap, your bi-weekly gaming podcast where we get in-depth about the games we're playing and some other stuff, some other shenanigans every now and then. Of course, joining me this week is my co-host, Michael Damiani.
How's it going? Trying to recuperate from that Vegas heat.
Yes, sir.
Being on the surface of the sun for 2 days.
Yeah, we were frying.
And living to tell the tale.
And we got a special guest this episode.
Oh,
some of you might know him out there. He's in a small game. Some people may have heard of.
Yeah, you might have heard of it.
Final something
Fantasy, right?
Final Fantasy 2, I think.
How do you do Roman numerals? I don't know
sure.
that. Yeah.
But it's the lovely Ben Starr, our official London correspondent for us, our official one.
Yeah, live from London. Wow,
that's right.
It's been a real pleasure to be part of the indie darling that is Final Fantasy 16. A real kind of like small, independently produced project.
Yeah.
It's I like to call it the little game that could. But it's
Very
great to
small
be
game.
here. Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
I know we're being sarcastic about this, but
absolutely.
if you would listen to a lot of Square Enix fans out there, you would kind of laugh at the amount of times that small indie company is facetiously tossed around when talking about Square Enix, especially when it comes to Final Fantasy 14, which we will be talking about in a little bit as well.
Before we get into it, Ben, your social media presence has been excellent. I have seen you just tweet out such good stuff. You are pleasing the fans out there, I've noticed. Talking about your pecs being too big, squeeze through space.
Yeah.
It's really good. I'm really enjoying all that.
Thank you. Do you know what it is? It is. Do you know what it is? I'm asking you a question. I'll tell you the answer to the question that I've just posed you. I don't get to be stupid a lot in my life. I think as an actor up to this point, I've always played very serious roles. But I am just, at heart, just a clown. I'm an idiot. I've always been the class clown. And Twitter's kind of been a really fun place to just kind of take the piss out of myself a little bit. And I've been doing that a lot recently, whilst also kind of celebrating the fact that I'm a part of a really cool world, not just Final Fantasy, but also video games. And I just think, let's be silly with it. If you can't kind of take the piss out of yourself a little bit, it's a real shame. So I will continue to do that. It's been great because I think Clive has been taken into people's homes and people do like him as a character. And I just kind of want to celebrate that as much as possible. And as a fan of these games anyway, this is kind of what I would want to see from my characters do. So I just thought it'd be quite a cool way of interacting with people. And I'll just do one of those silly Final Fantasy quotes, or I'll ask for a ticket to Barbie, or I'll whatever you. It's been really fun, and I've really enjoyed how playful people have been with it as well.
Yeah, I think it's been really great. As a longtime Final Fantasy fans that we all are, it's been really fun just to see, especially like the main character, a character we all love, just having a bit of fun. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. I imagine it's been what has it been like, kind of seeing the reception from the Final Fantasy fan base, because as the team behind the game CBU3, they have like a very passionate fan base that is usually very welcoming. So were you kind of like surprised by it? Were you kind of expecting it? Like, how did it go over?
It starts at the top, doesn't it, really? Like, this team are so brilliant at interacting with fans. You look at Yoshi P, you look at kind of like Koji, my mentor through all of this, and how brilliant they are at celebrating what they do, being a little bit silly. And so I've kind of taken their lead, really, and gone, yeah, let's get out there, because I've seen what they give out and I've seen what they get back. And I've always wanted to do that. So, it's been... it's always very, very, very nerve-wracking putting yourself out there. Like, you play as Clive the whole time. If you didn't like what I did, you probably didn't enjoy the game. So it's been I was quite relieved when people didn't hate what I did. Because it's a bit like, oh, this is my favorite franchise of all time. Imagine if I ruined it for everyone. No, it's been a real joy. And I will continue to celebrate it in the way that I think CBU3 celebrate all of their video games. So yeah, it's cool. I love it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's
you
great.
killed it as Clive, so don't worry about it. You're
Yeah.
fantastic.
Thanks.
Dan, we
Cool.
have plenty of questions for you throughout the show. Fans writing in and stuff like that too.
Nah. But
Great.
speaking of celebrating
Yeah.
Final Fantasy,
Yes.
yeah.
So me and Damiani got back a couple days ago from the Final Fantasy North American Fan Fest that was held in Las Vegas.
Yep, the Las Vegas Convention Center,
Yeah,
which
me
is
and Damiani were on the ground floor
massive.
covering it.
Yeah, this was it was Brad's first fan fest.
Correct.
But it was also my first fan fest as well, which was kind of surprising for some people to hear. We'd been invited in the past, but
Yeah.
it was always the same weekend as either some other event like Easy Chillin' or Easy Living when we used to do it at the beach house.
Yeah.
So it was always kind of like a conflict, so I couldn't go. So this is the first one I was able to attend, and I have to say, yeah, it was a very overwhelming experience.
Yeah, dude. It totally was.
Yeah, it was the largest one. So like lots of crowds, but lots of energy, lots of excitement. Being there in person we've done it so many times for events
Yeah.
where we're reacting here. I don't know how many like press conferences you've had the pleasure of going to.
Like on that scale, only a couple.
Like even like E3, like back in the day.
I don't think I went to any.
I've been to some Nintendo press conferences when they used to actually do them in person.
Yeah.
And it's just like a whole other experience.
Yeah.
Like the energy in the room, the excitement, the cheering, you just kind of get swept up in it.
Yeah, because this was all like fans mostly. Mm-hmm. And they're excited as hell to be there. Mm-hmm. So you definitely felt it. Like I've been to BlizzCon a couple times, and they have a huge opening ceremony, and it's like kind of like that.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Now, the best thing to see from all of this was this was like the first in-person event for Final Fantasy XIV fans and the development team since 2019. Everything
Wow.
had been remote because of COVID. They did the last fan fest like as a digital fan fest, so they were just overwhelmed as well. Even though they had done it before in person, they were treated like rock stars.
Yeah.
Like they would say anything, and the amount of
Yeah.
applause that they would get. Ishikawa, the writer,
I saw
she for Endwalker, she was brought to tears during
saw
the closing
multiple
ceremonies.
staff people brought to tears.
Yoshi
cried
P
like
was
4
was
times.
literally about to start crying during the closing ceremony as well. Soken was just like up to his usual antics, which was fantastic.
Yeah,
it
wonderful lad.
was great. They didn't stream the concerts, unfortunately, but during the piano concert, he did a little bit of an encore with his little that instrument that makes those funny noises. Except this time, the pianist Keiko, she was in on it this time. Last time, she wasn't. It seemed like she was not in on it because she was just in this face of disbelief while he was trying to sing this song with this ridiculous instrument. But this time, they were a little bit more in sync, and it was very nice. Like the concert was nice. Like Amanda Aiken came out, did some performances as well. It was really good overall for those performances.
Yeah, ran into your boy, Koji Fox, Ben.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Happy to see us. I brought you up. I was like, I'm going to send this picture to Ben. He's like, yes. He was pumped up.
Yeah. Well, it's a huge, like, I've said this to you before, like, Easy Allies, the whole development team absolutely adore you guys. So it was really cool to see you guys in the picture together because, I speak to Koji about you guys all the time. So I just thought it was so cool when you sent me that picture. I do have a question for both of you.
Yeah,
about
sure.
it,
Please.
If that's all right. I don't want to derail.
No, please
what
ask
you guys are
questions.
talking about. But did you expect, obviously the expectation was there for 15,000 fans. Did you expect to see 7.0? Was that kind of...
No, we expected it.
So, yes, it was expected, Ben, only because it's the precedent they've sent each fan fest they've held. The North American one's always been first, and they show off a teaser, which we get like a little snippet, and then we get a title usually. And then it's followed by the Europe. London in October of this year will be that fan fest. We'll get to see more of that beautiful CG trailer, and the first job reveal for the new expansion will be there as well, as long as new information. And then it concludes with the Japanese fan fest, which we get the full trailer, the second job reveal, and then the fine details are there as well.
Yes.
So yes, there's that expectation. I think it's how much they show and how much information there might vary.
Did you? Is that the precedent they've set for every single expansion that they've done since? So it's always been America, UK, Japan.
I think so.
Yes,
right?
I believe that's because the first fan fest was for Heavensward in 2014, I believe, and I believe it has been that way. The exception was with the year with for Endwalker because of COVID. They did like a big press conference like event, and then later they did a digital fan fest for everybody, since they obviously didn't need to go to different destinations.
Before you got there, did you have like bets on what you thought it was going to be called and where they were going to go? Did you have an idea for what?
Damiani seemed to have an idea kind of what's happening. Damiani is like much more in tune with 14 than I am. I am a casual fan, I would say. I'm caught up pretty much with the stories, but I play, then I take like 6 months off or something like that, and I'll catch up a little more. But Damiani is like much more in the trenches about all that kind of stuff.
I think a lot of people had their expectations. As far as the title, no idea what it was going to be called. In the past, they had some trademarks that kind of slipped through. Like I know Shadowbringers was known before. This time I feel like either I just wasn't paying attention or they figured out a way to cover that up so people wouldn't get spoiled. But I think most people expected it to be either Mericidia or the New World because I won't say what, but there was something in Endwalker that kind of alluded to where we might go next at a certain point. So that was where expectations were. And I have to say, talking about like the expansion, what we saw, Dawn Trail, I really like the vibes. They called it like a summer vacation. They were talking about like anime rivalry type plot line where the Scions are getting back, not necessarily getting back together, but are like split into two factions and you're kind of competing with each other. We got to see in the trailer, they're all coming back, what they're up to, people speculating. Obviously the fans went nuts when Graha Tia showed up with a big fat taco and took a bite into it because, as we know in the 14 community, big fat tacos.
Yes.
That's another Koji Fox thing.
Yeah.
Those lyrics. So yeah, it was a good, I think a good crowd pleasing teaser.
Yeah. Ben, I know. So you've done the meme. You did the meme part for everyone. The free trial, ridiculous free trial. You have said in the past you're curious, you were interested in playing just sometime though in the future. Has that? Are you still interested to coming to Eorzea?
Yeah, so I've said to the entire internet that I'm going to do it, so I've got to do it. I think it's about figuring out the ways in which I do it. I think I understand what a huge undertaking it is, and I want to do it right, and I don't want to feel rushed. But I kind of made a promise with Susie, the Sphere Hunter, that I'd do it with her. And I would be a Lalafell, and she would just be the tallest race in Final Fantasy XIV, and we'd just play through it. But yeah, what's been so nice is in this kind of process, I've made a lot of friends with people who are fans of Final Fantasy XIV and are players of Final Fantasy XIV, and many of them are, they're right up to date, and they've been very kind in saying they'd help us.
Oh my God.
Get through it.
You have no idea how many people would help you, Ben. Maybe too much help.
Yeah, that feels strange to me. That people would want to help me. But I'm really, really excited because 14, even though I only played A Realm Reborn 10 years ago and I haven't played it since, it's been so much a part of my life making 16 because I've just obviously spent so much time with the team and it's just inescapable, really. So also, the place where I recorded 16 is the same place where they recorded 14. So,
nice.
Yeah, and there is so much crossover with the staff and the people I've worked with who are so passionate about this project and have kind of really cut their teeth on what 14 is. So it's really a part of everything that I've done up to this point. So it only feels right that I do it, and look, I know they've said what it's going to come out summer, maybe 2024.
Summer
Is that
next
when it's
year.
coming out?
The target, yeah,
2024.
next.
Yeah, and I don't think I'll be caught up by then. But I'm just here for the vibes. Let's see how we get there. All I've ever heard is God, Shadowbringers and Endwalker are two of the greatest Final Fantasy stories ever told. So that's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, I think since you already are a big Final Fantasy fan, you're gonna just love it even more.
Exactly. Yeah. Yoshi P describes it as like kind of like a wonderland of Final Fantasy, or because it's
really
like
is.
a celebration of all.
I mean,
Final
you can
Fantasy
use a
in the game.
Gunblade if you want, Ben. A Gunblade
That's
class,
one.
you can get Squall's outfit.
You can't start as that.
You can't start as it, but you can eventually get to it.
Could eventually get to it.
I love it. You guys are going to need to help me through it as well. I'm just recruiting all of
Damiani helps me through
So
it.
I've been telling Brad that it is it is my goal when you're ready to announce when you're going to start playing. We want the world exclusive. We want to say world premiere.
Well, we got to have Susie though. Too.
Yeah, we could make that work too.
Okay. You want world premiere.
We want world
We
premiere.
want a world premiere. We want to
Keeley
take one
scoop?
from Keeley.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want, I'll do the voiceover for it as well. We can make the graphics. We can just go completely OTT.
All right, I like this. I'm very into this now. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was saying I'm sure Square Enix would be just like, Ben, what are you doing? I tell you what I'm doing. I'm announcing a world premiere on Frame Trap. That's what I'm doing.
As long as we don't get you in trouble.
Yes, of course. We don't want that.
You won't. They're amazing.
But always down to help. Very much looking forward to it either way, because one of the most, I think, popular things to watch from Final Fantasy XIV from a streaming perspective, one of the most popular things is people playing through the main story for the first time. So that is a huge draw. So yes, Ben, expect lots of huge crowds and expect a lot of people to be watching you as well.
Yeah.
Right. Well,
you're gonna be a mega celebrity there.
Well, the first time I ever played it, I was an elf dragoon called Cadwaron. I was an Ellison dragoon called Cadwaron Talathon. I put my name into a random elf name generator, and that's what I came up with. And I was so bad. I was playing on PlayStation 3. I bought like an accompanying play. I don't even remember them, like the PlayStation 3 keypads.
Yes.
You could buy peripheral.
Yes.
So there was me on my like really shitty. Sorry if I'm swearing.
No, you can swear.
London flat at the time, with my PlayStation 3, like at midnight, like tapping away very badly, and I've got really fat fingers, so I can't really do anything, and my keypad at the same time. I was so bad, and people were just shouting at me in raids, being like, "Cad, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." So it'll be nice to maybe come back and be a little bit more competent this time.
Oh yeah, you'll be just fine.
People tend to pick on dragoons a lot, though.
Yeah, that's true. Don't worry about it.
I'm not going to be
We
a
all
dragoon.
die.
I'm not going to be a dragoon this time. No, I'm changing it up. I don't.
Nice.
That's what I played as first too, when it first came out. But
Oh, did you?
yeah,
I forgot what you
because
actually started as.
there wasn't a whole lot of choices.
Yeah.
And
because-
dragoons are always just sick. Like they're always just rad characters.
Nah.
So I was like, how can I not be one? Until I got animation locked to death like 100 times.
Or did that little backflip jump off the wrong floor
skill cap.
to your death.
So I like to think it's high skill cap Damiani at the time.
They got rid of that animation lock.
Go ahead.
Speaking of like job classes, what do you think the next job class is going to be that they're going to announce?
Good question. So people are so there's two things we saw in the trailer: the Warrior of Light, who fantastic new look. Looks like
Will Turner.
Yeah,
from Pirates of the
that's the
Caribbean.
meme going around. Corsairs have been thrown around a lot because people are convinced that they have purposely not added in the full weapon that he will be using, because there's a spot in the CG where he appears to be trying to hold something in his hand, but there is nothing there. So they didn't want to give away what it was. So people are convinced it's a Corsair. Also, Yoshi P came out in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Turtle Mayhem t-shirt, which is the way they tease the new jobs is with a t-shirt. And so people are like, what? We already have ninja and samurai, so what does this mean? people thought maybe because it's green, it could be green mage. Because one will be, they did confirm one is a melee DPS and the other will be a caster DPS. So I've seen green mage. I've seen a Pictomancer, which I had no idea what that was.
Oh, SC6.
Until this. I've seen a lot of crazy ideas. Someone said it's TMNT. If you delete the last two letters, it's TM. It's Time Mage. I'm like, what?
Time Mage?
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
There have been a lot of guesses. Do you have any ideas or guesses, Ben?
I don't have a clue, but what I love is you guessing what it's going to be because you just know that, Yoshi P, Koji, the team, Soken, they're at home going, what are people guessing? What are people guessing he's going to be? Because we had it in 16, was just watching everyone try and guess and predict what's going to happen. and it's like read into stuff that wasn't there. But I think that's the joy of everything, right? You want to pick it apart and you want to know. And I think, I don't have a clue. I was just thinking, what, you're just going to play as a talking rat, maybe? That's what it'll be. It's the famous talking rat class.
That'd be awesome.
But isn't that the fun of it? That's the fun of this community. That it's like, we don't know, but we know we're going to find out probably in London. That's incredibly exciting. And it's probably going to be Yoshi P dressed up as that. There is the precedent,
I'm very much looking forward to that.
Are you going to go to that, Ben? Do you think?
I don't know.
Don't know yet?
Don't know.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd love to go, but it's also a bit like maybe would I get spoiled by that point? I suppose I wouldn't really. I just want to celebrate it with people because I know a lot of my now friends are going to this thing, so it would be lovely to be a part of it and celebrate it. And even though I don't play 14, I got so much FOMO watching you guys and everyone out there just having an amazing time, and I was like, I wish I was there. So maybe, I don't know.
I don't think the expansion footage, like the trailer, will actually spoil you. Maybe it will just confirm certain characters make it through to that point. But this is really a new starting point for the narrative. So while they're the familiar characters, it's the start of like a new path. One of the, many meanings that Dawn Trail will probably carry for it. However, if there are any other panels there that say like Endwalker, like there was an Endwalker behind the scenes Endwalker panel, that will definitely give you a lot of details that you probably do not want to hear about.
Yeah, I'm not going to go to that, I don't think.
Imagine
if you turn up. Imagine if people turned up and it was like, I was hosting it. I'm hosting the Endwalker panel. Ben, but you haven't played it.
Yeah. What else? So they had the keynote there, which was great. A good reveal.
They had a press briefing kind of thing that we went to.
Yeah, they had where press got to submit questions in advance, and then Yoshi P, after the long first day, got together around like 9 p.m. on day one in the press room, and he was very gracious enough to give us an hour of his time to answer a bunch of questions regarding a bunch of different topics. Nothing really earth-shattering in there.
One that I thought was interesting.
What was yours?
We've known about it, and it is the people asked about a Final Fantasy 16 crossover.
Yes.
For the game. And he did, of course, the classic Yoshi P thing, saying, I will talk to the producer of Final Fantasy 16 to figure that out. But he said something, maybe we'll hear more about it sometime this year. Yeah,
I think this is the first time he gave a little bit more of a window on the answer. But yes, that running gag, because this is not the first time he's been asked about this since 16 has been announced. Press have just been asking him about that. And the joke is, he goes, there's someone named Naoki Yoshida who is the producer of Final Fantasy 16 who shares the same name as me, and Naoki Yoshida, who's the producer director of Final Fantasy 14. And we had a little bit of a meeting together to discuss this. And I think we're getting closer to it. But Yoshi P has said in the past that for these collaborations, they like to time it around something. It's part of a marketing plan. And I would imagine there might be something in the future that they would like to do it around that. Also, go ahead.
I was saying, Ben, we're not going to ask you to tell us anything. We don't know. We're not going to
guys,
assume you know anything.
It's time for a world premiere right now. No, I know you're not going to ask, and it's interesting, isn't it? I will say this is like it's nice that there is a clamoring for it, and I think this is there is that synergy between two different versions of Naoki Yoshida. So yeah, we'll see what will happen. Who knows?
If we get Clive's outfit and his hair and his sword, I will be very happy.
Yeah,
that has happened in the past with like Noctis and some of the other characters.
Yeah,
I want that outfit.
We've gotten a few.
I want Ambrosia. I want the mount. Maybe a little wind-up doll of Jill or Torgal would be wonderful. Yeah. So if that happens, then you have to play.
I'd want Torgal as a mount.
Torgal's a mount? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Torgal's the best boy, so yeah. I would love that.
I mean, you won't be riding Torgal around. That would be a very strange thing to do. But yeah. Nothing confirmed here. Don't worry.
Mm-hmm. I feel like if that happens, though, Ben, you are 100% obligated to start playing immediately when that happens. Because it's like, well, my boy's in the game.
Oh yeah, because some of those you don't have to be like caught up to do those. Yeah, they make them a little lower level, so like more players can enjoy them sooner. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Ben, just to paint a picture of the center we were at, so it was mostly in this huge hall with the stage and all that stuff, but they did have some like little spaces set up from things around the game. Mm-hmm. I don't recall one of them was like the library from stuff, but just like environments from 14, just kind of sprinkled throughout.
Yeah, from Endwalker specifically, they
like
had
Charlene or something.
Yeah,
they had like little games you could do. Like there was like fishing or something like that. They were doing like a little fishing mini game. Mm-hmm. Just cute little things that tie with the game.
Yeah, they made more for better like photo opportunities.
Yeah, which we did get some.
Yeah,
we'll try to insert some of them during this whole thing so people can see.
Like they put effort into like making them look very nice. Yeah. And then they did have a like wall to sign,
which I did not sign.
And they had like a battle trial for a fight that'll be coming at a later date, and obviously merch. So while those were all nice, I will say there were obviously a lot of lines. Everything had massive lines, and so it was a little bit overwhelming in that regard. But it just shows like how popular and in demand.
Yeah, it was insane
that this event is. I will say to people, I have seen people ask like, why couldn't they expand this, make it like larger, like it's at the Las Vegas Convention Center. This was already a massive. They used just part of the convention center and it felt massive, and the amount of people there felt overwhelming. I don't know how they could expand it and accommodate that many people. I think they might have had too many people there.
Maybe.
But maybe that just means like, when there's demand, you maybe provide the supply. Mm-hmm. I would hope they might consider maybe doing like a second NA Fan Festival next time around, because I think they could accommodate two of them in North America with how many people are going to it. But otherwise, they like spread over 2 days, and the concerts. I know earlier you were worried about swearing, Ben, but Koji Fox officially made 14 also M-rated. He used some F-bombs during the concert. Soken approved as well. So it's now official. 14 is accommodating the F-bomb. So 16 kind of blazed the path for that right there.
Yeah,
so
that's all you started that.
You're so welcome. Yeah, it's strange because I play a character who obviously swears a bit, and I just feel so nervous when I go onto people's podcasts and swear. So I'm trying not to do it, and I am a person who does quite freely swear in just casual conversation. I've noticed that a lot. Yeah. So I'm just trying to just chill out a little bit and not just throw.
Oh yeah, you don't got to be. You could just chill out, Ben. Don't be stiff.
Yeah.
You could swear all you want.
I mean, I'm chilling on this sofa right now.
Okay,
I'm on my sofa.
You look like you're chilling pretty hard, so that's fair, yeah.
I'm having a nice time, yeah.
Definitely.
I've got my Bose sound system behind me. We're all good. We're having a nice time.
Damiani, I guess just with the trailer that we saw, the footage, I like One Piece.
Oh, yeah,
Give me One Piece vibes all around, baby.
Yeah.
Just going out to find some treasure.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about, dude.
I'm
into that.
Yeah, we didn't really get to that because I started that thought and didn't finish it. But yeah, like I'm really glad with the direction they're going with this expansion. We'd had such dark, brooding, high stakes storylines and Shadowbringers and Endwalker, and coming into this more lighthearted, as we discussed, kind of like premise. I think this is the right way to go. And in the Q&A session, Yoshibi was asked about the future, the next expansions. Like, is this really the start of a major story arc, or how are they approaching it? And Yoshibi confirmed it's kind of like a little bit of a wait and see. They want to see how this expansion is received by the fans.
Sure.
And if what they're doing, they really like it, they'll keep going in that direction. But obviously, it seems like this could maybe be a little bit more standalone. That could be on the table as well if they decide they want to pivot and do something else. And I kind of like that, because we've seen a lot of things that have been trying to like be serialized and build up to something big, and it's kind of it's getting a little like tiresome, like seeing like specifically like with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's just like, okay, we got to Avengers Endgame, and now it's been years after, and it's like this is so much. I don't know if I want to keep going with this, and you run that risk, and that is something I think with 14 people are concerned about as a new player. Some new players are overwhelmed by how much they have to play to catch up.
Yes.
So that is something that I think they're keeping in mind as well.
Yeah. Our own Michael Huber suffers from that.
I think narratively, you just have to take breaks. If something is constantly being more dramatic than the last, you can only blow things up a certain number of times. I think that like there's only so many times you can end the world before you keep going, God, the world keeps ending. This is exhausting. It's like, so why not go on holiday? And that's what they described it as, right? I think he went and said, like, it's a bit of like a getaway, a break, allow characters to breathe, maybe find a little bit of humanity that isn't in peril. But I watched the live stream, and I found it fun when they talked about the Scions potentially taking different sides.
Yes.
And there were the oohs and ahs in the audience. Do you have any predictions about who's going to go on whose side? You got any thoughts?
Well, there was a remark about the smartest Scions, which to me, or Urianger and Y'shtola were name dropped. I feel like they probably will be on opposing. It looked like Thancred and Urianger were together. Thancred was like holding up a treasure map, and Urianger was over there sipping like a margarita drink, just having a good time. Maybe Y'shtola and Ellis looked like they might have been, or at least Grahatia and Y'shtola might have been on the same side. So, and I think some very keen-eyed fans think they spotted Alphino on the ship as well with Erenville and the Warrior of Light. So maybe we have that's how Alphino and Ellis definitely have to be in different sides. This is something you're going to learn very early on, Ben, that while they are siblings, sometimes they decide to go their own way on certain things. They have their unique personalities, obviously, and they definitely come across, and I hope they get back to those vibes because they've been working together very nicely recently, but I'd like to see that kind of like sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
I noticed that with the when people noticed him on the boat. I was like, people at the eagle-eyed people just did, like zoomed in and were like, there he is, right there, and it was like this blurry little image, which I loved. Yeah, no, I'm super excited to kind of like see the reactions to all of it, because again, I don't know what's going to happen, but watching that live stream, it's impossible not to get really hyped about it, because it was just watching people's reactions to it, people filming themselves watching that thing live. What in the trailer got you like most excited?
Well, I mean, I like the setting, the new world, like a tropical jungle. Like an island setting. So one of my favorite Final Fantasies of all time is Final Fantasy X. And I love the world of Spira. I love Besaid Island. I love that, just like that whole setting and that world and that atmosphere. And the expansion was giving me those types of vibes. And just being immersed in that, I feel like is going to be really, enjoyable. Also, we're seeing a lot of like the different tribes being represented there, to the point like I was almost like, oh, are they going to be playable, the tribes? Maybe like I thought that was going to be like a big reveal. Maybe that's still something they're holding on to, but yeah, it's something, and also something that isn't so technologically advanced. We'd been dealing with a lot, like an escalating kind of like arms race of like weapons, and it's nice to go somewhere where maybe the power creep isn't, becoming a problem anymore. It's more, let's get back to something a little bit more basic. What about you, Brad?
What did you...
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. No, Brad.
Oh, for me, I got hyped when he was the meteor was fighting like a two-headed fucking beast.
Jewel,
I was
yeah.
like, what is this shit? This shit is sick, dude.
Yeah, that's a Final Fantasy 11
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly. It's always pander for me, so... Also, and I think just the vibe of the expansion all around, like on the seas or something like that. I was like, oh, maybe we're gonna like sail around or something like that. Just the pirate adventure is something I always want. So anything like that, I'm into.
Nice.
How did you feel about, because they showed off the graphical upgrades, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's nice. I think you should continue to do that.
Yeah.
Let's see. They had teased it before,
yeah.
So we'd seen a little bit of what they were planning. I think the side-by-side character comparisons was probably the most important thing they did, because they had already said that they are very conscious about your character and that they want you to still be in your head what you look like even after this graphical update, and they don't want to ruin that immersion. So it was like better but still you was kind of like the thing they were going for. And I think they pretty much got it, because like the faces just looked like a little bit more livelier. The eyes like looked like they were like not dolls anymore. The hair texture was much improved, and also they're improving the textures on the gear. Now they said there's a lot of gear in the game and it won't all be done at once, but the ones they showed off, like it being able to reflect light and surfaces a little bit better, is really nice. And we've got a little bit of a taste of it. Some of the A Realm Reborn dungeons got a little bit of an overhaul recently, with their lighting and their like adding fog and just adding more atmosphere. And that's not even like the full scope of what they're doing by 7.0. I think it's needed. There were definitely people who thought the game was starting to look a little bit, long in the tooth.
Sure.
And this is something that's going to help them continue to win over new players as they try and keep this running. As Yoshi P said, he wants to work on this till he dies. So, they said the next 10 years, but in his head, in the Q&A, he was talking about 20, 30 years. He literally did the math in the Q&A about how many expansions could I get out before I'm 60 years old. Yeah. And he was like counting, he's like 3. And it's like, oh. That's how he measures his life, as an Final Fantasy 14 expansions.
Yeah.
And so you should. That is the way that everyone should live their life,
yes.
Even if you play it or not. Being like, how many Endwalker cycles is that? Fantastic, great, I'll take it. I will say that, like, in the time that I spent with Yoshi P, and when we were doing some press stuff, that man was always on his phone, but not on his phone texting. Was watching people play Final Fantasy 14. And you're going, that is the dedication of a man who lives this video game. Like, even when we were doing press for 16, he was watching people play 14. Like, that is how much he cares about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, so when people are like, is Naoki Yoshida taking his eye off the ball for 6? Like, nah. Nah, he's just all over it. So, it was really cool to see.
You left a little bit before it happened, Brad, but on day 2, during the PvP tournament, and then during the concert. So during the PvP tournament, Yoshi P came out to say, good luck to the teams. He then sits on the floor, just on the floor by himself alone in the front to watch the entirety of the tournament, because he just wanted a front row seat, and he didn't want to take away a seat from anyone else. So he just sat on the floor and watched the entirety of this 2-hour tournament. And then during the concert for the primals, he runs out there, jumps the barricade, and then gets onto the other side of the front barricade and with shades on too, and glow sticks, and is just there rooting for Soken in the primals.
So
like, just throughout the whole concert was there. Like, like, this is on top of like being so exhausted from doing everything else, still having that energy to go out and do that. It is clear that, like, 14 is like it's his life. Like, he's very passionate about everything else he works on, but like 14 is like his baby. And when he speaks about it, it's like clear that he's never giving it up.
Yeah.
Like, all these rumors that people say, like, oh, he's gonna move on. Like, when he took 16 on, people are like, oh, is he like moving on from 14? They have to get someone else. It's like, no. This guy just does not know that he's not letting go of that.
No.
He's too
There's
passionate.
no way, yeah.
Also, I think what's so exciting is with 14, there is this team that keeps getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and they just keep bringing increasingly excellent people on to work in it. And, you know, there's going to be a point in 10 years' time where people who grew up playing the game are going to get to work on it. And so you're just going to keep that incredibly passionate development team just keep regenerating and coming up with new ideas. So I think there is such a strong future for the game, and I really hope that, you know, this is the beginning of a new chapter in it, and I hope that more and more players do get into it. And it was ludicrous as it was that I did that silly meme. I really do hope more people play it. So I'm good. I'm looking forward to jumping in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to have to update that shirt now. It would have say Stormblood. I do want to give a shout out, though, as Ben was mentioning, like the new staff that are coming in, or just like them and like bringing out like the staff that have like kind of stepped up over the last few years. Aimee, one of the translators there,
right. Yeah.
absolutely been fantastic. She kind of had like a breakout a few years ago where people were just like so shocked at how like not only like how like well her translations were, but like just like matching the tone and the vibes of Yoshipi or whoever was speaking. She was like in full almost like costume. There's an NPC who you will meet very early on when you start. If you don't remember them, if you start again, Ben, in A Realm Reborn, Momodi, who is one of the main NPCs in the beginning, who gives you quests. She was, you know, cosplaying as that and still doing these with the Lalafell ears and everything, and still doing a fantastic job with that. Also, English localization lead Kate, her panel with Koji Fox and Matt, just going through the process of Endwalker's localization. Fantastic job. She had been doing a few things before. I think Digital Fan Fest, everyone got to like see her for the first time on stage. Fantastic new addition. Like absolutely pleased to see that these new people stepping into these like lead roles, and it's really really good to see.
Gotta have those young ones coming up always.
Oh yeah,
gotta have them there.
And the North American community team during the concert. They were involved in a Soken specialty.
Oh, really?
If you know the Twinning, if you know Long Fall, the song from it, and you remember what they did at Digital Fan Fest, they recreated that meme with the whole NA community team with Matt up front. Poor Matt.
That is awesome.
Was nearly dead by the end of that. So yeah, like just shout outs all around to the like actual devs team for keeping that high energy throughout the 2 days we were there, and plus all the other time they were there setting up. For
Definitely.
sure.
Ben, I guess just before, whenever you start your venture, and again, I would just recommend, like you said, to take your time. Don't rush it, my friend. You beat an expansion, take months off. Just take a break. You don't got to do it all back to back. Space it out whenever it feels comfortable. Don't feel the rush. You'll get caught up eventually.
Yeah, and
now what's going to happen though is not that I'm going to become obsessed. I'm going to lose all of my friends and family, and this beard is going to grow down all the way to here, and it's just going to be me and fast food in a very small room. That's what's going to happen.
Hey, whatever makes you happy, you live.
Yeah.
That's all I want to see. Whatever you want to do, you do it, man. Donna, do you have anything else before we move on?
I feel like I'm forgetting stuff, but we've been talking about this as well. Just shout outs to like the PvP tournament was like nice to watch.
Fun, actually.
Thank you to Square Enix for giving it a bit of a spotlight. I know they'd done it once before at the 2018 Fan Festival when the feast still existed, the old competitive PvP mode. It was really nice to see those the teams up there. Very good like sportsmanship, very good games. And then like a nice prize at the end that made it like feel like they were taking, like that Square Enix was taking it.
Yeah, it felt like
legitimizing it a bit. And I hope they continue to maybe nurture that and continue to, put maybe more resources into that because I think it's an untapped little gem in the game that gets written off a little too easily. Yeah.
I just want to say thanks to everyone that came up to us during the whole thing and said hi to us. It was really great meeting a lot of people. Fans of Easy Islands and fans of the game. Super fun. Really happy to meet all of them.
Yeah, it was great to meet a bunch of people. Apologies to there are a bunch of people I didn't get to meet up with who are trying to meet up with. Knowing how it is now, next time in 2 years, if we get to go back, we'll do a little bit more pre-planning this time to make it a little bit more, bit more structured,
now
so we could like meet up with some people. Now that I know how it goes, so yeah, it'd been 4 years since going to a convention and the first fan fest, so. A little bit of a learning curve there.
Dude, shout out to Damiani. You and me, we just went to Caesar's Palace one day when we had time, dude.
Yeah.
We just fucking went around.
Dude.
I bought one drink, Ben.
Oh, God.
At Caesar's Palace. One drink. And it was $21. The guy said to me, I got a gin and tonic. And I was like... And he said the note to me, and I was like, "Wait, how much?" And he goes, "21." I was
a
like,
plastic
okay.
cup and everything. It was like just from like a no-name bar. Like, okay,
on the casino floor, I was like, "All right, dude, that's my one."
I'm going to say this. So obviously, I had the great fortune of meeting you all when I was in Los Angeles for kind of Summer Game Fest for the launch of Final Fantasy 16 event. And, you know, the thing about Summer Games Fest was that everyone meets in the JW Marriott, right? That's what everyone does in the evening. They all hang out. And I just thought, wow, great. I'll go to the JW Marriott. I'll get one drink. I don't know how you afford it. It's the most expensive place on the planet. I come from London. And again, it was that thing of going, one drink. How many dollars? And I have to tip as well. And I go, that's all of the money that I have, sir.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. It was a kind of a shocking experience. You just forget, you know, when you go to bars, alcohol's really expensive.
It sure is.
In this country, we have a place called Weatherspoons, which is any English fans out there who are listening, I'm sure they're cheering, going either Weatherspoons is terrible or Weatherspoons is great. And like it's very infamous. And but yeah, and there's loads of them around the UK, and they're so cheap. It's just like you can get absolutely trashed for about what the equivalent of like $10, and you can just buy like a bottle of. I went to one once, and I was sorry for getting off track, but I went to one once up to the bar, and the smell was horrendous. And I just said to it was honestly, it was awful. It smelled like a baby's what you call a baby's diaper. It smelled really quite awful, and I just said to the barman, "Sorry, sir, why does it smell like shit?" And they all laughed and went, "Oh, sorry, it's just the bar is directly below a raw sewage pipe." Oh. And so they had built the bar around a raw sewage pipe. So what I was actually smelling was actually shit.
Oh,
and it was just, and I was going, that's why I'm spending £3 on a glass of Pinot Grigio, because I'm also taking in poo particles into my nose.
Absolutely. That's how they get you.
So shout out to Weatherspoons. Drink there, it's amazing.
Around here, if you go to happy hour stuff, it's pretty chill. But at hotels and stuff like that, they'll gouge you badly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gotta be careful. All right. It's time to talk about a game I know you're excited for, Ben. I've seen you talk about this a little bit. Baldur's Gate 3. Ooh.
Yes.
I've been playing this. I've played about 4 hours so far, maybe 5. Oh, it's good.
What's that, like 0.1% of the game?
Yeah, I have no idea. But it's so good.
Nice.
This is like one of the most deep, rich RPG games I've ever played in my life.
Ooh.
Every character you can talk to, and there's like a little cutscene of you talking to them, actually.
Oh, nice.
They got stuff to say sometimes. Stuff that you may not get unless you talk to them. Some random guy you might want to talk to. Get a little lore. You might get a little quest for that.
Oh, I like this. I like NPCs that give you that context.
Yes.
That help you, inform you in that world building. That's so good.
And not like an overly annoying amount of world building, too, where I feel like it's just like an info dump. You know, no one's handing me a book that's 40 pages to read or anything like that. I'm just like super chill. You're going at your pace and kind of exploring, unraveling it as you want. So people, if they're not familiar, Baldur's Gate's an old RPG series, CRPG. I never played the first two, but I've played this. The team that made this is Larian Studios. Mm-hmm. They made Divinity 1 and 2, and I played a lot of Divinity 2. That was like my first CRPG, and I was like, I really like these games. I kind of fell in love with those games. I was so late to the party on them, but I was just like, dude, these are like some of the best RPGs I've ever played. And I'm happy to say the quality is even higher so far in Baldur's Gate 3, where I am just blown away what they are throwing at you.
That's really good to hear.
Right off the bat, the game, you could play as, I believe, NPCs in the game. You will see like the NPCs, like party members and stuff. You can play as one of them, or you can make your own character, which I did.
Okay, I see.
Lots of races to pick from: elves, gnomes, half-orc, dwarf, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I picked a wood elf, just because I decided to play a ranger.
Okay,
and that's something I usually don't play.
Yeah,
a lot of games like that. So I thought it'd be. I was like, oh yeah, I'll try this. Like I always play as like a rogue or something like that, or like a big fucking tank or some shit like that. I'm always into that, but I was like, let's try something a little different. So I picked the rogue or the wood elf to get a little proficiency bonuses with like bows and all that stuff. Pick my guy, named him Nicator, dude, my old D&D guy. But I do a what if scenario now, if he was an archer or a ranger now. Got awesome scars on my face. Gotta have that kind of shit. But the game opens up with a cool cinematic of like these the tentacle face guys. Mind flayers, I should say, abducting people. And you get abducted, you're put on the ship, they put a parasite in your eye.
Oh, I hate that.
It's essentially a ticking time bomb, is where you will eventually turn into one of them.
Oh, okay.
So it's like on this ship, and you eventually find other party members in there, everyone that have these flays in them too, and you bust out of the ship crashes, you crash land in like this sick little like cove area with like some forest and stuff like that. And pretty much everyone you're with is like, yo, we got to figure out how to get these parasites out of your head. And when you're talking to these characters, some of the things you may say they may approve what you say, but some of them will not approve of what you say. Like some of the early characters on is just like this like fighter woman. She's like a tiefling, I think. No, it's not a tiefling. I forgot what her race is called, but she's like a warrior. There's a guy that's a vampire, also an elf, that's with you, and they have like kind of banter on what one thing I'd pick might upset the other one.
Okay.
But if I pick it, make the other one happy. Stuff like that to look out for. And of course, the better side you get on with them, more about them will become available to you. A little more scenarios and stuff like that. But anyways, what's cool about this game is like you can do whatever the hell you want. You can attack a situation any way you want, dude.
Okay.
So with my my ranger, I have this thing where I could summon like a cantrip or to summon like a little familiar with me. I sent out a little frog, dude.
All right.
And I could have this frog just go anywhere I want, and if he hits someone, it'll poison them. So I just sent them into like the middle of a pack, and I'm just sitting there back there watching, laughing at myself and watching my frog hit someone, just poison them. I'm like, oh, this is just dumb shit I kind of like to do in these games like that. Like there's an action to just push people over. You can just push someone off
you can just
like
be an
cliff,
asshole?
dude.
Oh,
you can be an asshole. You can be a total dick if you want. You can kill like anyone if you want. You can do whatever you want. So much room. And also, what I like about the game is, if you've played D&D, you know you roll dice. There's some checks like there. Big part of this game too. There's choices. You try to do something, you got to roll that dice.
Okay.
Sometimes that dice goes up. Things can turn out nicely. Sometimes it goes bad though. Shit gets rough, or can get rough. I was like talking with these goblins, trying to like, I'm like, yo, chill out, everybody, chill out. We're all good, kind of thing like that. Did a dice roll for like persuasion. Did not get it. Combat immediately, dude. Everyone gets in a
breaks
fight.
Out. Yep.
Just shit hit the fan, dude. They had guys on the roofs that I didn't see earlier. They threw like a firebomb down at me and then just fucking blew someone up. I was like, oh my god, dude. It was so
it's all going
awesome,
wrong.
though. Yeah, it can go wrong so quick, but you can also, like, there's so many ways to approach a situation.
Yeah, that's...
Because you can split up your party members if you want. You can play as them. So I sent, like, my guy, the vampire guy, who's, like, a rogue. I had him, like, go up on a ceiling or a roof and wait for a moment of opportunity to hit someone like that. They'd come out, he'd jump down and get, like, sick backstabs on them while I'm sitting away far, like, shooting them. And my warrior's up there, and I got a cleric back there. It's all real good shit. But, like I said, I'm only 4 or 5 hours in, and I feel like there's so much that I'm not seeing yet. I'm just, like, literally scratching the surface of this game right now.
Yeah. I mean, this sounds like what everyone's been hoping for from this.
Yeah.
Also sounds like incredibly rewarding. That's going to be have these deep systems, these deep RPG systems that people have come to expect from this series.
Oh yeah.
But also maybe for a newcomer, this sounds very overwhelming too. It feels like.
So yeah, I do wonder that. I think it seems so. When I played Divinity 2, that was my first kind of game like that, and this seems much more streamlined and chill to understand.
Okay,
it just seems like
good.
everything is explained much better, and I think it eases you in a little bit better.
Okay, that's
It
good.
really feels like this part of the game I'm at, they expect you to make mistakes and just kind of fuck around and experiment, and the game seems balanced around that right now.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, is that the game allows you to fail, to make mistakes, but you can get very far along with those. If it was too punishing too soon, I think that's where these types of games fall apart for a lot of people. But it's that chaos that ensues that gives you these wonderful stories to share with your friends, like you're sharing now, because it allows you to get that much further deeper into shit, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not don't really play a lot of these, but I'm curious about Ben, how excited you are for this, and hearing what Brad's describing. If you're into these games, is this what you want to be hearing?
I'm so in. I'm 100% into this. I really wasn't into the idea of Baldur's Gate 3 until probably about 2 months ago.
Okay.
Obviously, it's been in early access for a long time. I thought it looked intriguing. I haven't played Baldur's Gate 1 or 2, and also I haven't played any of the other Larian games. But there's just something about this that just really is speaking to me right now. I haven't played a game with incredibly deep systems, with moments of consequence that it doesn't matter if I fail. That excites me the most. The idea that we're going to roll some dice, and if I fail, I'm going to get another adventure that is just as equally as exciting. And everything that I keep seeing about this game excites me more and more and more. And what it kind of seems to me to be is, it's one of those games that if you're willing to explore, just pull on that tiny thread, you will see that thread is in fact some massive dragon or something. And it isn't signposting saying that this is going to be a massive moment. It's going to reward your curiosity. And I think that for the rest of the year, maybe, people who do play this game are going to want to share those stories of going, did you see this? Did you see that? And I think that's where the strength of this is. It is being released around some absolutely massive video games. And I do think this is going to be the sleeper hit of the year. I think when we're talking about the great games of the year, I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be the one that the people who played it are going to do everything they can to convince people to play this game, because I think it has the potential to have those greatest video game moments of all time kind of experiences, those surprises that reward you in ways that you never expected. And I think right now, 2023, if it's missing anything, it's missing that type of game. And I think it's only just going to stack up to what is turning out to be one of the greatest video game years of all time. So very, very, very excited.
Yeah.
Very well put. Yeah.
Yeah, you brought it up nicely in saying a mistake could turn into something fun that you did not expect. And I think that's so important to this game. Is I think the best way to play this game is to not worry about looking stuff up. Do you know what I mean?
Didn't they say please don't min-max?
I would say not looking at character builds. I think you will be fine with whatever you kind of do, and you just kind of play around that style.
Nice.
Dude, I got a skill really early on because I just wanted it. Is I could talk to animals.
Yeah, that's cool.
I just talked to some bear. And you could learn stuff from you talk to a squirrel or something like that. You can just talk to a cat. You can talk to them. You can learn things about stuff. Damiani, I could send out a familiar cat to walk around and just distract people if I want. Let's say I'm trying to sneak into somewhere. I can just send that cat out. Maybe they'll be charmed by the kitty.
Yeah. This is the path I am choosing.
Yeah, yes. You can do that kind of stuff. It's just so sick how much you can do.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Ben's points brought up that it is coming out alongside a lot of big other games, and this game being kind of advertised as being a really massively long RPG. Is this something that you feel people can play in chunks and still
probably? I would
from your experience with the previous
it's hard
ones.
To say because I think it's usually divided up into acts as far as I'm aware, and I'm still in act 1. it's going to depend when I get to Act 2, where I'm like, okay, nah, I can take a break if I want, something like that. I mean, if you're going to play this, then Starfield back-to-back, maybe it'll feel a little weird.
Yeah.
Like, they are different games, no doubt, but they're, you know, both massive RPGs where you, like, make choices and stuff like that. But,
because they're like D&D campaigns, you know, people get together like once a week to do those and then come back the next week.
Oh,
and
I mean, yeah, you
like,
could do that.
like stuff like this, obviously. Just, you know, given your experience playing the past Larian games.
And it's super chill. It's chill as the game you want it to be, in the sense of there's like 3 difficulties you could pick from.
Okay, that's nice.
Like an easy, normal, hard. I'm playing on normal right now because I'm not like super expert with these kind of games.
Okay.
Like I've played a lot of the Divinity 2, but I'm still like learning the ropes in some ways. And you know, you could quick save whenever the hell you want if you want. You can like just have saves in the back. Like personally, I play with like when I roll a dice, that's just the way it falls. I don't reload a save. But plenty of people do, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You just play how you want to play.
Yeah, play how you want to play.
I want those stakes, baby.
I was going to ask about save scumming. Is it?
Yeah.
Do you think it's something that is a possibility? They've allowed it within the game. They've said you can save at any point and then do the rolls. I mean, that is not how I'm going to play this game, but you know, that's how some people want it.
Yeah, it's definitely how a lot of people want to play the game, which is totally fine. And it's like they know that. They're just kind of like letting you do it if you want, but if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But
yeah. I appreciate that. I like when they just give you as many different ways to play it, because at the end of the day, it's like what you want out of it. I mean, obviously you can have like forced difficulty that, you know, pushes you. Like there is a thing with like difficulty. Like I understand the argument where a harder game, it either you'll fold and you walk away, but some people like fight through that adversity and overcome it. But there's times where like this is also like a hobby and people just want to enjoy it. So yeah, it's up to what you're like, how you want to feel personally satisfied in playing the game.
And also you can play the game with up to 3 other friends, so with 4 players total. You can just everyone can just kind of do what the hell they want. You can have your own D&D campaign inside that game.
And each person like makes their own progress, or do you know how that works?
I'm not exactly sure how it works. I don't know, because I've only done it a little bit in the early access, so I'm not exactly sure, but I know it's very much the intent of them to allow 4 players to play together and have a good time. Yeah. So
that's the bit that excites me most. I will be specifically playing as a cleric just so I'm useful to a party. So I was going, I just want to be picked.
Always useful.
I think I'm so excited for this video game. I do have a question.
Yes.
Do you think, Brad, you're in a position, you're a journalist. How much of this game do you think you're going to play? Honestly, do you think you can see this going for 150 hours, or do you think you're going to be forced to drop it, or like how do you think the cadence with you playing it is going to be?
So for me, it just all depends if I'm really enjoying it, and if I am, I'm going to make time for it. And so far, I am really enjoying it. Where I'm like, I'm willing to put some other stuff aside to play through this game the whole way. Because like you, Ben, I think this game is super good, and I think it's going to be one of the best games of the year, no question. So I feel like it deserves its dues, kind of thing. Like, I'm going to play Armored Core, no doubt, when that's coming out the end of this month. I'm going to play a Sea of Stars, of course I'm going to play all that stuff. But if I have to beat this game over months just chipping away at it, I'm fine with that. It's totally okay with me.
Yeah. I think, when it comes to length, you know, when they're tossing around anything that's anywhere remotely near 100 or more hours, it starts, and it's like more of like a standalone story experience. It gets a little daunting. I can understand that. And as you said, there's so many other games coming out. But I think that's it. Like you get so fixated because it's so enjoyable, and it captures you. You don't want to like lose that feeling and that like kind of like momentum, because I think like if you're feeling that way and then you jump to something else and you jump back, some of that magic could potentially be lost, or it takes a little bit for it to get going again. So it's just you know, kind of figuring out how you want to like play through that. This
is a game I'm just totally cool with, just being a slow burn of me playing 2 hours here and there every now and then, just slowly making my way through it. And that works totally fine for me.
I was going to say, like, you know, obviously this is going to be hundreds of hours of a video game. And I think about this a lot, really, is hours in video games. And I played lots of excessively long video games. All hours are not equal.
Correct.
In the sense that, like, when you are playing an RPG, I'd say like the first 20 hours are often quite slow. They seem to take a lot longer. And then you get into kind of the meat of something around kind of like the 40-hour mark. And I swear from like hour 40 to about hour 80, I'm going, I just don't know where that went. Because you're just so deep in the systems. Everything about that game from about hour 40 to hour 80, you are absolutely in the prime of that game, where you're probably at the appropriate level to be playing. The challenges seem fun, and you are right in that space of being like, I'm going to accept one more quest. And I mean, that's where the sneaky hours go, when you're at like 2 a.m. and thinking, I'll just do this one quest, and then it's 5 a.m. and you're listening to the birds singing in the morning. And I've always found that, and I feel that Baldur's Gate is going to be that for me, where I'm in it, and I'm taking a while to get into it. I'm learning the systems, and then before you know it, it's 150 hours in, and I'm massively over leveled, and I've mastered 35,000 different classes. So yeah, I think this is a very, very exciting prospect, and I'm not actually that daunted about the hours. I think with a bit like Elden Ring, I don't know where those hours went. I just put 100 hours into it, and I'm going, oh, that went really quickly. And I think this could be the same thing.
Yeah, definitely same kind of thing. Where I was playing, and I like look at my clock, I was like, oh, the time has flown by, and that's the best kind of feeling. That's what you want.
Yeah.
But yeah. Highly recommend this game. Check it out.
Nice. Yeah.
PC first. It comes out the 3rd. So when you guys are hearing this, it's out on PC. Then it'll be on PS5 the next month, I believe.
All right. Yeah.
And Xbox sometime down the line. But yeah, I highly recommend this game. It's sick. Get a look.
Nice.
All right, Ben.
Yeah.
Sea of Stars. You played the demo. This game is coming out soon. Tell us about this.
Sabotage Studios, who made The Messenger, they kickstarted this game. It's a very unique game because I believe it is going to be the first game that is released both on Game Pass and PlayStation Plus at the same time.
I think that is true. Yeah.
It places itself in a very privileged position, which is at no extra cost you can play what's probably one of the most exciting, what I'm kind of calling like neo-retro RPGs. It's, I think a lot of people are going to play this, and I think it's the smartest move they made of releasing on PlayStation Plus as well as Game Pass. I was going to pick this up anyway, but for people who are maybe on the fence, it's at no extra cost on the PlayStation Plus Extra. You can pick this up. And it's been around a while. People played the demo when it was first announced on Switch. And now recently they went, download the demo, play it now. And I went, in anticipation of Frame Trap, I will play this demo. I originally wanted to go in completely blind. But I just thought, oh no, I'm going to try this out. And it was a really unique experience because it was like playing kind of a meta demo because they kept referencing the fact that it was a demo.
Oh.
And I just thought, oh, this is funny. So they threw you into the action. You know, I would imagine what would have been about 2 or 3 hours into the game. And then just to show off some of the systems. And there was a moment in the dialogue where one of the characters said, we need to go to, and then it just had redacted for the purposes of the demo in a comedic way. And I thought, that's funny. And they purposefully kind of obscured stuff. So you'd go up to a door in one of the towns the town that you would explore, and they would say, "You're not allowed to get past here in this demo." And I just thought, well done, well done. I know I've read some reviews that people that didn't like it and thought, why would you release an incomplete game? I loved the tongue-in-cheek aspect, and I think the purposes of this 40 minute to 1 hour demo is to give you a flavor of maybe the tone of what the game is, the visuals, and most importantly, what the battle system is. I think the battle system it was bold what they did because they threw you in with already 3 party members. At the beginning, you can actually pick which party member you want to be your lead. I think it's called Valère or Valerie. I don't know how you say her name. Or it was Zale, and you had someone called Garl in there who was kind of this big, brutish party member. They say there's going to be 6 party members, but they threw you in with 3. And I thought it was pretty bold because mostly in RPGs like this, they will allow you to get to grips with the system. You know, you'll learn one or two attacks, and then they'll give you another special, or they'll give you a tech attack, and then you'll just figure out how to do it as you go. But this, they went, here's a lot of stuff. So at first, it was a lot of reading. It was a lot of like, okay, how do I do this? How do I do this? But the one aspect of the fighting that I really liked was that when you would get in, they would have a counter over the top of the enemies, and they would tell you how many turns it was until they were going to attack. And then when they were charging up a big attack, so like their big area effect attack, or, you know, whatever it was going to, you know, attack the party with, they would have what was called, I think they're calling the lock system, where it would have 3 to 5 different symbols of types of attacks that you would have to do in order to either reduce that attack or eliminate that attack completely and make them vulnerable. And I thought that's really interesting. Even at this early stage, it changes the dynamic, and it doesn't mean that you're just going to be spamming the same types of attacks. It means that the game is going to throw stuff at you, and I'm thinking later on in this game, am I going to be thrown that kind of puzzle halfway through a fight? It's not just attack, 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 spam. You're going, oh, okay, I see how, you know, when I'm getting to harder bosses, that they're going to throw some difficult stuff in. I'm probably going to have to move party members that I don't usually use in and out in order to benefit from those types of attacks. And it just seemed really, really interesting. Obviously, the visual style is stunning.
Yeah.
It is a... Sorry if I'm going on about this.
No, that's the point.
That's the point. It is it's 2D kind of pixel art, but it has this painterly feel. I recently played Chained Echoes, which is another stunning
one of my games of the year last year.
Was.
Agreed. And this is a bit like that, but it feels a bit like they've crossed the art style with that, with kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon feel. It's got a real kind of like a flow and a movement to it. That is quite exciting. So it's kind of like half pixely thing, very kind of animated in their movements. And I think what the developers have really emphasized is that there's this, there's going to be exciting forms of traversal. Now, I didn't see that in the demo, but there's going to be different types of traversal around this. And as with all, the fun thing about kind of 2D pixel art is how they play with perspective. So it's like, if you go back here, you can tuck behind this rock that you can't see and slide behind. And already in the demo, they were showing those bits off, and I'm excited to see how they play around with it. When it came to dungeons, they gave us one dungeon, and it was fun for what it was. You know, it required you using your wind power to push blocks around to climb up, and it was a lot of kind of changing the environment, putting different crystals in to move things around and traverse it. I thought the level design actually was very clever. And this was, again, 40 minutes. I don't know how long this game is going to be, but they did a very clever thing of saying, we're going to bring you to the world map, which was very zoomed out.
Yeah.
And it showed you places that you will be able to go, but you can't go yet in the demo.
Yeah.
And I really, really, really enjoyed it. I will say I don't think it is going to be for everyone.
Sure.
I would love it to be for everyone, and I would say by it being on PlayStation Plus and Game Pass, that's one barrier to entry that has been eliminated.
Yeah.
And I think that's the great thing, is if you are on the fence about it, maybe paying however much you might have paid for it, $20, $30. Now let's just try it out. And I have a feeling that its charm, its music is going to draw you in.
What about it do you think makes you think it won't be for everyone? Maybe a little too complex in some ways?
Yeah, I think that people's prejudices are always going to get in the way. I think it's a difficult sell, a kind of like a retro style RPG.
Sure,
for kind of mains. I really want to shout from the rooftops that it should be. And I think that from the demo, it was a really good step forward. But I would almost encourage people to not play the demo, because I think for people who aren't into it, the combat system might be a little bit tricky, because it does throw a lot of stuff at you. You know, I think it was fun, but I would say go into this game without playing the demo and just enjoy it, because I think what it was pandering, what the demo was doing was kind of maybe pandering to hardcore fans who were already going to play it, to kind of show off some of those systems, a bit of a tease. It felt maybe more like a press preview, you know, places you can go to. It didn't feel like a demo in that way. It felt like here's one section, here's another section, you know. And I think you've been to loads of those. You know what those entail, as opposed to a specific vertical slice. It felt like a couple of moments, and I think the music is stunning. I think it looks great, but you know, people. I can't necessarily see the demographic of people who both play Fortnite and this necessarily being attracted in that way, you know?
Sure. Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of Chain Echoes, I guess, where it got some praise, you know, but I wish it got more praise, and I think a lot of it is just because people didn't know the game existed for a long time. Like, I didn't know that game even existed until it was close to being out or something like that, but it seems like this game has gotten more attention, though, at least.
First, I'm going to say very, very proud of you, Ben, for not dropping the Chrono Trigger at any point during your remarks there.
Yeah,
I did, but I feel like everyone ever discusses this game always brings that up. But you made a very interesting point, Ben, about the nature of this demo, because while I didn't play through it, I got the pleasure of watching Bloodworth play through it on stream a while ago. So I got to see everything that you described happen. But saying that, like, it was maybe trying to prove itself to veterans that this is like an authentic experience, like this is what you're going to get, versus being a little bit more approachable to a broader audience. And as Brad said, this game has a lot more exposure than something like Chained Echoes. So maybe they're hoping on that. But like that's an interesting thing that I really never, like, I mean, I would think about it eventually, but didn't think about initially that, you know, who's a demo really for, and like with this demo, and like who is it trying to win over. And I think you have a good point there, because I think a lot of people who already, just by exposure, were just sold on this, as you said, like the beautiful pixel art, the music, having Yasunori Mitsuda's compositions being featured in there, that was like a big enough a selling point. But when you want a game to go beyond that, you do need to bring in new players. So the removing that barrier in terms of price, if you're already a subscription member to PlayStation Plus or Game Pass, you will be able to just jump in and do that.
I think bringing up Chrono Trigger, obviously it was going to happen, right? But I think because of maybe they couldn't have predicted maybe how popular this was going to become. I feel like there's been a real surge in interest in this video game. And certainly I think when you get the marketing power of both Xbox and PlayStation behind you, promoting you on their platforms as, you know, the game to get this month, that's going to get a lot more eyes on. And it's going to be interesting to see the pivot of how they sell this game. I'm already sold on it. You guys are already sold on this game. But it's going to be, how do we convince other people who might not normally haven't played Chrono Trigger, who don't understand the legacy of what this game is, and what it's pulling from, and how they're going to be presented literally with these systems for the first time, and how that becomes accessible. And I think with a lot of RPGs, you have that push and pull. But one thing I did like, which I haven't mentioned, is the accessories which you have. And there are accessories that is essentially kind of an easier mode where it gives you 100 extra HP, and also it restores all of your health at the end of battle. So they are doing everything in their power, I think, to enable first timers to come in and enjoy this at a more leisurely pace. And I think if, let's say, Final Fantasy 16 has taught people that, I think there are people out there who do find these games a little bit more unapproachable, and it's about how do we bring people in. And, you know, what the 16 team decided was the timely accessories, and I think here they're kind of following that. I imagine it's their own idea as well, but I really like to see that. And I you know, people who are listening to this podcast are probably already in. You know, I'm interested to see how well it does. when it comes out. But I'm really, really, really glad that you are just reducing that extra click. You are reducing, do you want to pay for this? It's like, no, I've already paid for it with my subscription. And I think the power of that is so important. I think that is always been the power of Game Pass, is not getting Gears of War on day one. It's the fact that you get to pick up games that you haven't played before, and or wouldn't choose to. Pentiment. People would not have been talking about that game because they wouldn't have had access to it, because they wouldn't have bought it. And so it wouldn't have had that kind of great widespread celebration of its work that it deserves. And hopefully that Sea of Stars is that, and it's on all platforms. You know, you can play it on Switch, you can play it on Game Pass, you can play it on PlayStation Plus Extra. I think it's exciting to see. But in an incredibly crowded month, you know, I to be honest, I think August is the new June, everyone. It really is. It's catering to a lot of people, but I really hope people pick it up.
Yep. Garrett Holfish wrote in for a question about this game. If you want to send in a question for us also for any of these shows, head on over to patreon.com/easyallies. Just $5 and up. You can submit questions to this, and Easy Allies podcast, other stuff. But yes, Garrett Holfish asked, or said, when I played Sea of Stars demo, I had a hard time with timing my button presses to attacks. It definitely wasn't as easy as any of the Mario RPG games. Is this something you noticed too? I'm hoping it just takes a little bit more time to adjust.
Yes, I agree with you. Some of them were quite fun. So I mean, I'm calling her Valère, but I imagine it'll probably be Valerie, but you never say her name out loud. She has this really intriguing attack where she basically throws what I'm calling her moonerang, which is, and it's really fun to do. She throws it, and then you end up playing Pong. You're just hitting it backwards and forwards between enemies, and it gets faster and faster and faster. I found that once I got the timing to be incredibly satisfying. However, it wasn't just the attacks; it was the defense that I think is probably more important in this game. And I think as the game gets later on, that's going to be key. I imagine that there are going to be ultimate attacks that if you don't time it correctly, your entire party is going to be wiped out. That could be a problem. Because obviously you don't know what the wind-up is going to be. You don't know when actually the hit's going to hit you and you press X. I do really like the mechanic. I think it makes turn-based action just a lot more active. And you're there thinking you need to save that. And there is, you know, at the point that I played, there is a limited amount of health that you have. And I did nearly die on 2 occasions. But I had exactly that same thing. I hope when the game releases, it's something that as we play the game, we will get used to, that the game will slowly introduce us to it. So by the time we get to where we are in the demo, it's a lot easier to do.
Yeah, that's what I think probably is going to happen. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do one-shot things to you early in the game. That seems like the end game kind of stuff like that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know this game had button presses. That's cool.
Yeah, it's got those timed inputs.
Yeah, I love stuff like that.
I got to watch Bloodworth do it. He had the moonerang. He was having a good time with that, and he kept trying it to get the timing down. It seemed to be like I think it was the one in the demo they wanted people probably to try out the most and like see how fun it could be. But yeah, there were definitely other things where, especially on the defensive end, when he'd miss it, you get kind of a little bit punished by it. And Bloodworth is, you know, a little bit of a veteran too, you know, very familiar with Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
But I think by the end he had a pretty good handle on it. Sorry. But yeah, that's someone who's more experienced. So I could see how newer people might find it a little bit, you know,
tricky.
Yeah. It's a good way to put it.
Sure.
Yeah.
But also I think it could be tricky. It could be, you know, something that is a negative, but I personally hope that it's a positive, that people go into it thinking, okay, so this isn't just passive, it is quite active. It feels like I'm actually having a say in battle. It's just something a lot more immediate about it. So I hope that what players do take away from it is that there is an opportunity here to really engage in every battle, and every battle you're not just there on your phone clicking X doing stuff. It really matters when you're timing your attacks. And I think that's really exciting. And it seemed that every mob that you were fighting was there purposefully. It didn't just feel, you know, it's like Chrono Trigger. It's there, the mobs are there, and every fight had a consequence to it. And so it felt like, certainly in the dungeon that I played, that it was a finely crafted dungeon, test you in the right ways. We are throwing these very particular enemies at you to test you. So each one felt like a puzzle. It didn't feel random or unfair. And there was a particular moment at the end of the dungeon where you have to basically it was a classic case of, you're going to fight 3 sets of enemies, because you had to move some blocks somewhere, and then each time you did, a new set of enemies appeared. But it didn't feel repetitive. It felt like, okay, so I've had a larger mob, and I've had the similar size mob, but with different types of enemies in it, and then you get a smaller one because they're giving you a little bit of mercy. And it felt like they understood, or they'd at least calibrated the system to reward you for your hard work. There was also a great system that I liked, which was Garl, who is the big brutish guy, had this attack. I think it was called Hurl, where it doesn't do any damage, but it just picks them up and it throws them into a specific area. So then when you do an area effect damage, it clumps all the enemies up. And I thought that was
that's really cool.
Again, it's really cool. And I'm really excited to kind of see where you can take that. And I imagine with the 3 other characters, they're also going to have their own specific technical abilities. One thing they didn't show in the demo that I'm really excited to see is the day-night cycle. And I don't know if it plays into it, but the 2 leads that you play, one is represented by the sun and one is represented by the moon. And I'm interested to see if that has any say in it, whether and maybe it isn't, maybe this is a red herring, but I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if someone's attacks are stronger at night and some attacks are stronger in the day, so you're going to have to calibrate how you play and when you would do certain things. That would be really cool. I think it's really, really exciting, and I can't wait to see where it goes. But I understand how my advice would be, don't play the demo. Don't play the demo, just play the game. And fortunately, people can now.
Yeah, I'm playing this immediately. Damiani,
I know you are.
I assume too.
Yeah, I have to grab it. I have to find some time for it.
Yeah, but, we'll find time.
Yeah,
must find time.
Hopefully, the end of the year, December is kind of merciful to us, so it makes it easier to catch up on everything that we couldn't finish.
Hopefully, but yeah,
we'll see.
It's looking good. All right, Damiani. Let's talk about Pikmin 4. You've been playing this. It came out last Friday or Friday?
It's been a little over a week, maybe around 2 weeks. They come out on Fridays, so it's been a little over a week and a half now. It is the latest installment in the Pikmin franchise. It is. They did release a demo. The main game does pick up your save progress. So if you put time into the demo, you could just jump right back in and not have to go through kind of that tutorial area. Mm-hmm. It is a lot more Pikmin goodness. I started with Pikmin 3. I've never played Pikmin 1 or 2 or any of the other spin-offs. But when Pikmin 3 came to Switch, so Deluxe Edition, not the Wii U version, the Deluxe Edition, I decided to jump in, and I was sorry that I'd been missing out on these. Although I've been told that 1 and 2 are a little bit different. That 3 was definitely made to be a little bit more approachable for newcomers, and I appreciate that. Whereas 3 was about they're obviously the nature of this game. It's a real time kind of strategy game where you are on a planet full of these wonderful creatures called Pikmin that you kind of collect, and they help you accomplish various goals. You explore these environments, use them to move objects, bring them back to your base for resources, and also in combat. There are a lot of hostile creatures that want to hurt you and hurt your Pikmin. So while it looks like a very cute and delightful game, it can be very cruel and evil at times. Yes, the Pikmin can die. They have horrifying little death sounds, and then a little Pikmin ghost flies off. I don't remember if they did this in the other ones, but in this one, when you reach the end of the day, they will play a cutscene that shows if you left any Pikmin stranded anywhere, it will show them frantically running for their lives from monsters.
Dude.
And it's would you like to go back and try and save them? Because one of the new features of 4, to kind of relieve the stress and the anxiety some people might have of dealing with a time limit, there's a rewind feature now. I think it's anytime you get like a checkpoint or an autosave happens, you can go back to that last point.
Okay.
So it's anywhere from like a minute to 2 minutes roughly is the amount of time you can go back. So if you want to undo something, it's like, oh, I fought a battle. I messed up. I lost way too many Pikmin there. I can't deal with that. It's like, well, you maybe go back in time. Or you're at the end of the day. You just couldn't find that one Pikmin. Now you know where they are. I just need 2 more minutes. I could go get them. So it's one of the many features they've like added to just, help newcomers get better acclimated to the game. So while the feel is still the same, it definitely builds upon what Pikmin 3 introduced. You're not really struggling for resources. In 3, you had to harvest fruit, use the Pikmin to bring these large pieces of, because you're mini. Think of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. All these environments, they look like they're on, like, look like it could take place on Earth. You're in like a backyard. You're in a house at one point. It's all human objects. You're like, wait, what's going on? So fruit are larger than life. So you need all these Pikmin to like kind of like carry it into your base. 3, you had to make enough food to survive so you could keep exploring and accomplish your objective. This time, that's not the concern. What you're trying to do is repower your ship, so the more power it gets, the further it can scan, because you're trying to rescue a bunch of outcasts who have been stranded on this planet. And the further you scan, that unlocks new regions you can go. And as you recover your shipmates, so the funny thing is, Captain Olimar is back. Mm-hmm. He went to this planet. He got shipwrecked there. So they sent the rescue team to go get him. The rescue team had trouble on entry, and they get shipwrecked there. So what do? You are the last line of defense. You are the new recruit. You are the rookie. They are sending you in to save the rescue team and Captain Olimar. So that is your duty.
Is the rescue team the guys from 3?
I don't think I don't terribly pay attention to that, but you have a crew, and they each have a designated role, and as you rescue them, you unlock new things. So one of them is the trainer. So you have a new companion called Ochi. He's like your little space dog, and he's wonderful. Adds a whole new layer to the game. I think he is primarily there to help players feel safe and more easily accomplish their objectives. I've definitely seen when I was streaming the game yesterday, chat was telling me that a lot of people found Ochi was a little bit of a crutch, but I thoroughly enjoy having Ochi around. You ride on him, all the Pikmin just hop on. They sing. If you just ride around for long enough and do nothing, they just start singing to like bring some joy to your day. He can also like swim through water, so he can carry Pikmin across water now, and very useful in combat. Has a charge attack that can like knock over enemies or even stun them eventually. You can separate from him and have him kind of be like a guard dog and guard a spot as well. So he's a really good boy, and they call him a good boy in the game. So very useful to have that. Yeah.
Can he die?
He doesn't die. He has a health meter, and when it depletes, he just needs to rest for a little bit to recover.
Great.
You can feed. There are items, so you can give him a bone to help replenish his HP. There's these juices from plants that you can get that you can slurp up to also heal him. Some of them give him like overdrive mode, like his limit break, so to speak, where he's just like glowing like he went like Super Saiyan. Cool. And he's just faster, stronger, and it lasts for a little while. So a little bit of a power up there. He can dig really fast. There's a lot of hidden treasures they got to dig through. Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's very enjoyable to have as a companion. You just keep upgrading his abilities over the course of the game. You get gear for yourself and Ochi, like simple like HP increase, defense increase, like resistance to certain like environmental hazards, go faster. And as you unlock these new crews, eventually get access to not just new like upgrades and systems, but new modes in the game. So one of them is the ability to go out at night. This is a first for Pikmin, because night was the no-no. Night was the deadline where we got to get back to safety. So when you go out on a night mission, you have these new glow Pikmin who join you. It's the only type of Pikmin you can have. It's basically a horde mode. where you got to defend the base. You have to last through the night. And it's in the existing environments. It just becomes darker, and you have like a little bit of time to set up to like gather more Pikmin. You can activate other like decoy bases that the horde monsters will go attack first. But ultimately, it just comes down to you having to like deal with those and survive the night. And as long as your home base has like even a slither of HP left, you make it through, you win. You harvest this medicine, which is needed to cure some of the survivors who have been marooned on this planet. They are afflicted with a new condition. They're called leaflings. They look like Muppet babies, basically. Like right. Was it what's the one with all the was it
Animal?
Animal. They look like Animal.
Yeah.
And they just got all this fur coming out of their face, and you can't recognize them. You try scanning them, it says it's an error, and you need this medicine to return them back to normal. And some of them are your crewmates. Some of them are just like, one's a treasure seeker. One was a florist, a botanist florist. Another one was just like a person who loves animals, who just wanted to be there. But as you rescue them, you get these side quest objectives that are just like checkmark stuff that you do, that you work towards. And as you complete them, you get this new natural resource that's used to upgrade your gear. But also in each environment, there are like bridges that aren't completed yet. When you send your Pikmin to build it, it draws upon that resource. So you can earn it through the game by doing side quests, finding some in just the environment itself. But it's used for more than just one purpose. So it's something you got like currency you kind of get to juggle, which is kind of nice.
Let's talk about new Pikmin.
Yes.
I didn't play 3. I've only played the first one, but they eventually added like rock Pikmin, right?
Yeah, rock Pikmin,
which were adorable. I love those guys. Now they added ice Pikmin, which are also adorable.
Another great addition. Another thing that I think makes this game a little bit more approachable, because when Pikmin attack an enemy, you'll see a pie chart looking like health bar, and it'll start depleting. But there's now, when you throw ice Pikmin, you'll see a little ring around it build up, like an ice ring. And once it completes, the enemy will become frozen.
Oh, okay.
So that you can just like wail on them and kind of combo into that. And it's very nice because you can even do it on bosses. Almost any enemy. Some are resistant to it, but most aren't.
Okay.
And they can also freeze water. This is really cool. So in the environment, there's a lot of water, and previously only blue Pikmin could go through water. So it was a bit of a challenge. Now you can, if you have enough ice Pikmin, you can freeze water and walk on its surface, which allows all of your Pikmin to journey across now. And when you need to call them away, you have like a little bit of a warning before the ice will melt. Yeah, it's just one of the cool things they add, a new layer that they throw on there. I mean, there's like one environment that looks like it's like a beach / like a sandbox, like a literal sandbox environment with like sand castles. And halfway through the day, the water levels will recede, opening up new paths. So they have a lot of dynamic things going on as well. And it's a game where there's just not enough time to do everything in one day. You're going to be there for multiple days. You're going to be going back. You're going to be making slow progress. And it's just like, it's, like Tears of the Kingdom, everyone was saying, man, I got distracted by this. I was supposed to be doing this, but I just saw this and did this. That's Pikmin 4 to me. It's just, but on a smaller scale. Yeah. It's not open world, obviously. And it's a little bit more easy to digest, I think. And it's just very satisfying for the most part. There was one other addition, from Pikmin 2, if I remember correctly, what I've been told since I've been Pikmin 2, they brought back like subterranean environments, like caves. These have some interesting gimmicks to them. Like one of them was like an ice cavern where everyone but the ice Pikmin would start like freezing and get cold and wouldn't like be able to attack. So you'd have to like find the source of that and disable it so it become a little bit warmer and stuff. More of those types of environmental hazards were presented down there. Also, time moves slower down there, so you like have all the time in the world. Okay. They're a little bit more puzzle challenge oriented. but it's a new layer. Like you find these literal like pipes that this game, it's the depths. Not only that, Brad, they have a thing later on where you get these light glow. The glow Pikmin can illuminate. They literally have lights,
light seeds. That's funny.
The bright seeds are in there.
Yeah, that's funny. Okay, sharing ideas.
Yeah,
sounds awesome, dude. I want to play.
Yeah.
Ben, do you have any?
I do have a question. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel that like? Do you feel it's iterative, or do you feel like it reinvents Pikmin? What do you think that since 3? How much is this a different Pikmin game, or is it very much more of the same, except this time you have Ice Pikmin?
I would say from my experience, since I only played 3, it does feel a little bit more iterative. Like the controls and everything feel very similar, especially from the Pikmin 3 Deluxe version where they kind of refined some of the control interfaces. It's definitely borrowing from that. A lot of the familiar Pikmin are back. I think it just does enough new, like Ochi, the Ice Pikmin, a little bit more like dynamic environments to deal with the night excursions, the introduction of the like cave levels. So it does a lot new, but like it's not reinventing Pikmin. I think it's just taking it further in the direction it was that trajectory was already on and improving upon it. That being said, there's one part where I'm mixed about so far. Oh. And it's the Dandori content. Now Dandori, as defined by Pikmin, is the practice of being efficient, doing things as efficiently as possible. So it's Dandori, and chat. I asked chat what's the opposite of that. They said Dondori.
Dondori?
Like dawn.
Makes sense for our dawn.
For our dawn. It's like, oh, okay. Now there are times when you come across those leaflings and they challenge you to a Dandori contests. Some are battles, some are like challenges. The challenges are usually like you have a time limit and you need to either collect everything or reach a certain score. I felt the tension there. Those felt enjoyable for the most part. The Dandori battles are where I have a little bit of a bone to pick. It is forced split screen against a computer opponent. So it's replicating the multiplayer mode, which is included in the game. So you could go do this in an actual player versus player multiplayer. So I don't like having to have a split screen, but I get why, because there is like Tetris 99, how you can like send negative things over to your opponent. So I guess you need to see your opponent's screen to know the opportune time where you pick up like these Mario Kart like items. They look like gotcha spheres. You pick them up, you get a random weapon, and he could deploy it at your opponent.
Okay.
But they're ranked in difficulty from like, I'll just call them stars. They're like flames of 1 to 5. I only did the 1-star ones, and the second one I did, I was getting like annihilated.
Damn.
And I was like, this feels a little, am I just missing something? And it felt a little overwhelming. And a lot of it was struggling to like, I need to see more of the environment. I need to know where I need to go. And having that split screen really limited. I just wish there was an option to say, hey, I understand I'm giving up that advantage, but to me, I personally feel how I handle strategy games, I need to see the full scope of my environment so I can plan out where I need to send my Pikmin to be as efficient as possible. And thankfully, if you do fail just even once, there is an option just to call in your crew member to do it for you and lets you advance at least. So you're not held back by it.
Yeah.
So some people in chat did say that the Dandori battles were probably the difficulties got very inconsistent. So it was something that had been pointed out, I guess, but I concede maybe it's just like that type of style of Pikmin, that like more competitive battle, like frantic mode isn't for me, because for me, Pikmin, there is definitely like a level of tension to it, but it's like, what can I do within this time limit? It's more of a sense of wonder and what can I get away with, and then also protecting the precious Pikmin. But like to me, it's a very soothing game overall.
Yeah,
it's not meant to be like super stressful. It's actually a stress reliever. This mode was literally the antithesis of that to me. So I'm thankful it is technically optional, since you could just lose and skip them. But everything else I was having a really good time on. I struggled with one of the night things, but thankfully someone in chat pointed out a mechanic I wasn't aware of. Once I was aware of it, it was basically you could do a spirit bomb with the glow Pikmin.
Whoa.
It's pretty sick.
Cool.
So once I learned about that, I was like, oh, that makes that way more manageable since I could do that. So yeah, great new additions. Love the music, love the vibes. Like, dude, the inside the house thing is like felt like a Toy Story.
Okay.
But also like that Tinykin, that game that came out recently, or sorry, last year or 2 years ago. I can't remember, but I was definitely getting those vibes, like that, like miniaturized in that type of environment. It's just like a wonder to see everything, and they just do increasingly unique and involving things for you to keep you on your toes, so it doesn't always feel too familiar.
I'm glad you brought it up because I'm a huge Tinykin fan.
Oh yeah,
was one of the great games of last year that lots of people didn't talk about. And I have never played a Pikmin game, but I absolutely adored Tinykin. I just think it had this kind of incredible charm to it, and I loved the art style and everything. But it did. It had that very kind of like toy-like thing where everything was massive, and you were just going around the house and just helping ants do things. And I'm like, that's my kind of game.
Yeah, definitely got those vibes.
Just a shout out to Tinykin as well.
Shout out Tinykin. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoyed playing it last year too. It was really good.
Reptile Scorpio wrote in, said, "Howdy, allies. It's awesome that Pikmin 4 is finally here, but I'm a little disappointed it's a direct sequel. Taking into account the original concept of the first game, I'd love to see them use the Pikmin concept in other Nintendo worlds, like having 100 Goombas running behind a Rescue Corps member dressed in a Bowser costume.
Oh, yeah.
In what universe could you see the Pikmin concept being a lot of fun?" Damiani, I'm just going to think of Zelda immediately with the little Koroks being my little Pikmin running around.
Okay, as long as they're all with me already, I don't have to like unlock all like
No, you don't gotta find them.
Okay, thank goodness, because I don't want them to be that hidden.
No.
Like I don't want
that hidden.
not that hidden. I see the appeal of like trying to have like more leveraging the Nintendo IPs and doing more with it. But I mean, there are definitely other Pikmin-like games. Like we did talk about Tinykin. It ended up not being very much like Pikmin. They do follow you, the Tinykin, but you don't really have to like manually aim or anything like that. And it's more of a platforming, like a Banjo-Kazooie type game. I felt like, but what was it? Little King's Story was a little bit like Pikmin. That type of like real-time strategy where you're managing smaller groups of people, and you need them to accomplish tasks and then fight, your battles for you.
Sad we never got that on anything new.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like I think like Mario's probably like an easy one, but I guess I haven't played the first two, so I'm curious to hear that people feel it's like they're disappointed that's like just a direct sequel, something like that. I'm not too caught up on like the lore,
right?
But like it's just enough. Like there's the banter between the crewmates adds a lot of flavor. It's very good, like Nintendo style, like especially the localization of it. It definitely adds personality. But in terms of like any continuity or anything, I'm not really paying attention to anything like that, honestly. I'm not really there for that. I'm more for the atmosphere and the gameplay.
I'm going to pitch something.
Oh, please.
It's not a Nintendo game, but I would, Capcom, they're trying to rinse Resident Evil. I'm saying if you really want to rinse Resident Evil, let's play as Wesker, and you are commanding hordes of zombies.
All right, Huber's in. Huber's so in.
I'd play that.
But I'm thinking,
I'd absolutely play that.
I think it would be so silly, and just like go from being a survivor to being a hunter would just be really, really cool to do.
That would be sick.
So Capcom, if you're listening, let's do that.
Please do it.
And it's just a reskin of Pikmin, but they're just bloodthirsty zombies that are following you around. It would be and you can get different types of enemies with various T viruses inside. It'd be really fun.
Just imagine them like after you defeat like a STARS member, they like pick it up. You have to carry it back to like someplace.
To experiment on it.
Yeah, like Wesker's just like gives you a please dialogue like
or something. Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It would be so cool. It would be really, really cool. Yeah, I just love to kill some STARS members. It would be really great.
Yeah, dude.
So good.
All right, it's time for Sign It Out! Ben, just in case you don't know, on this segment, we just kind of... It's about if there's anything in the game industry, game company, game itself, anything like that just kind of you think needs a little sorting out. Needs a little something. Damiani, do you have one?
I'll admit did not come prepared this time.
No problem.
But
it's okay if no one has it. It's totally fine because the viewers or the listeners got us covered.
I do feel like in the course of like on Sunday when I was just like decompressing from FanFest, being back, I was reading about something, and now I just like forget because basically Sunday was just like rest day, and then came back Monday and like didn't really remember much about Sunday, which is unfortunate because even though I did send a gift in time, and my mom reminded me, Sunday was my dad's birthday.
Oh.
I forgot to call Sunday. So first thing Monday morning when I woke up, I was like, I did not call my dad for his birthday, did I? I was like right on the phone. I was like, I'm so sorry, Dad. He's like, I got your golf balls. He loves golf.
Yeah.
So I got him some nice golf balls, and he was very appreciative. But we were like Sort Out feels like a little bit like harsh sometimes. So like maybe this is like a light Sorted Out.
It could be light.
So looking for any feedback for FanFest. I have been like listening to a lot of discussions yesterday and today about the accommodations for ADA and how a lot of people under an ADA were a little concerned about the accommodations they were given to them. So hopefully the Square Enix staff take a look at that seriously, and going forward with the other FanFests, they maybe take that feedback to heart and make it a little bit more enjoyable for those under ADA, because it did seem like some of those fans were a little upset and didn't have as nice of a time as some of the rest of us who have that benefit. So hopefully that's something that's taken into account.
Sure.
But yeah.
Ben, do you have one? Or do you want to think about it?
It's a small one.
Oh, yeah.
It's a small one. It's age old. It's just Sorted Out PlayStation themes. I just
bring classic.
Bring them back.
Oh, yes.
Every now and again, I get reminded that we don't have them. We had them. We don't have them now. And it comes up like every month or so, like on my Twitter, where I'll see someone just lament it. And, what I really like, that Sony have done, is they've really started obviously with Spider-Man. They just flew off the shelves is the faceplates. They've understood that people want to customize.
Yes,
they want to customize their PS5s. Well, we also want to customize the menus. So please just let us do it. That would be, please, Sony. I have no authority whatsoever, but please sort it out.
Please sort it out.
I don't remember who was talking. I was literally just talking about this the last few days with somebody about how I missed those PS3, PS4 themes, that they were so good.
Yeah, I liked when you would do like you get a platinum in a game or something.
Yeah, they were a reward. Oh, I missed that.
I have like Kingdom Hearts ones I've unlocked.
I had the pre-order the Final Fantasy VII Remake ones for PlayStation 4. I loved all of those ones. Yeah. I got a sick Dissidia one, I think, for like my PSP I was still using, and then I got like a Valkyria Chronicles one that I loved as well. And it's like, I just wish those could come back.
Yeah, a sick Bloodborne one.
Damn.
Just think of all the dynamic possibilities of like, it's a beautiful system. Like, it's just all completely set up for it. I'd love to see it. I actually don't think it's going to happen at all. I think the way the system is designed is not teed up for it. But I'd love it to be.
Yeah. Hopefully they can do something. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. This one is from Next Gen Hef. Sorted Out. This last week, 3 One Piece movies were finally added to Crunchyroll: Red, Stampede, and Gold. They were announced the week prior to come out on July 27th, but they were not added until 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the day of. As we continue to move forward with all digital media and games, it's time that these companies have set launch times along with dates, or better yet, a set universal standard launch time for everything. Too many times I've wasted away mornings over here on the East Coast waiting for something to come out on launch day, just for it to not come out till the afternoon/evening. This has happened the last 6 times with big games between Steam and Switch. Nintendo doesn't like midnight releases for some third-party stuff. Our time is just as valuable as money. Our time is just as valuable as money these days. Sort it out so we're not wasting it. I mean, I love when games come out earlier. If you're digital, at least, it's really nice. Like usually for us, it's 9 p.m., which is wonderful. But not everyone does do that.
Yeah, with So with One Piece specifically,
Yes.
I could definitely see like in a perfect world, yes, there needs to be just like a launch date time that everyone can easily convert into their local time zone, and it just goes live. But I do know, because it is a Toei property, that the licensors probably have to get like triple check that clearance when they put it up, because any 1 second too soon can mean like a breach of contract or dire consequences for that. So especially with digital, and they're very protective of that stuff. So I can understand that they're just being very cautious and just waiting for final approval. But that is something that maybe they should try communicating to with the parent companies as well, as that this is what the audience expects, and it's something that you should be shooting for, because it's to the benefit of everybody. So this might just be something they're not acutely aware of either. Yeah.
We are slowly moving. Well, not even slowly moving. We are right in the digital future, where video games is being made very clear that video games are going digital, that content is digital. And, we're in a very different era where the mistake would be someone opening the doors to the store too early. There is always that barrier. And I think that everyone knows this, but technical things can go wrong all of the time. And it's all just, it can create absolute havoc. I remember watching there was the No Clip documentary, Danny O'Dwyer, amazing No Clip documentary about the making of Hades. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's incredible, and it's just so real and so raw, and it goes on for such a long time. There was the moment when I think they announced it at, it was either the Game Awards or it was a Keighley event. I think it might have been the Game Awards. They announced Hades and they went available now in early access. And you can see the panic of these developers, like whether it was available on the store, when it was going to happen, and all of these technical things can go wrong. And it can just be one small thing that kind of like dominoes into other stuff. And I think that as much as you would like to create insurances that this won't happen, I think we are only going to see more of them as more and more games are released exclusively online. And I think sort it out is correct. If we can find a system, because it's the way we're going to consume this stuff now, there needs to be some consistency. But I think, I love it when you see these are the release times of everything, and then you have the world map and you see everything. But whenever I see one of those maps, I go, that's going to go wrong. That's going to go wrong 100%. But yeah, that's my say.
All right, this is from Chris Iverly. Sorted out Square Enix. While I have a few critiques of FF16, overall the game was really fun, solid game, and probably the best Final Fantasy since 12 for me. However, a major issue I have with the game is the fact that it crashes my PS5 on multiple different occasions. I can play the game for hours with no issues, but for some reason during various cutscenes and even some of the bigger boss fights, whatever the game is loading in the background, it kicks my PS5 into overdrive and freaks it out, thinking it's running too hot, and just shuts off my PS5. And I know that's not my console because I keep it clean internally and outside, plus it's an open, well-ventilated area. Also, it appears several other people online have experienced this as well. So please fix this, Square Enix, with a patch ASAP. P.S. Ben, I want to compliment you on your performance for Clive. It was truly exceptional performance, and I hope to hear you in many more future video games to come. Keep it up.
Well, thank you. Also, if your PlayStation does crash again, I will personally come round to your house and perform all of the scenes from Final Fantasy 16 for you. So see that as a promise. Yeah, that's the Square Enix. That's the Square Enix promise.
That's Square Enix promise. Yeah.
Send me round to your house, and I will just perform all of the stuff for you whilst fixing your PlayStation 5 for you. No, that must have been really annoying. So yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
My PlayStation crashed playing Assassin's Creed Origins, and I lost 50 hours worth of progress.
No.
Because the whole thing. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I lost it all. The whole thing just blew up, and I was like, oh man. But I fixed it, and I'd lost all the progress, so I could never get it back. But I replayed it, and because I loved it so much.
Yeah, I did like that game too.
But you have my sympathies. It's so annoying. It's so annoying when that happens.
Yeah, hopefully some patch will come out, or I'm not sure what could be causing it, but hopefully it'll work itself out. All right, This is from Garrett Kaiser. Sorted out Konami. The trailer for the new season of Castlevania on Netflix looks absolutely sick.
Ooh.
But why the hell isn't there a game to capitalize on the show's success? Not to mention the fact that the Metroidvania genre has exploded over the past few years with great titles like Bloodstained, Hollow Knight, Metroid Dread, etc. Or maybe just try to do something in the vein of the Souls-like genre, which would do very well in a Castlevania setting. Come on, Konami. Give us what we want. Sort it out. I always want new Castlevania games.
Yes.
Always want that.
Yes.
I don't know how many times I have to ask for that.
You ask a lot.
Every time. I know. It's like a broken record.
They still say no. They'll give you collections, but they won't give you brand new. Yeah.
I mean, I'll take what I can get. I'm begging for scraps from Konami and Castlevania.
This is their thing because, like, same thing with Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting a collection.
At least you're getting
bringing those games forward finally, so people can play them on the current systems.
Yet.
But yeah,
I mean,
What about Dead Cells? What did you guys play the Castlevania Dead Cells?
so I played a little bit of it. I need to go back to it, but what I played of that, I thought was really cool. I really liked that, and I think it's smart of them to license out their IPs to other people because, like, it works in Dead Cells, but I just want a traditional Castlevania game.
yeah,
Just straight up Castlevania game.
yeah.
Whether it's the old school side scroller like the NES, SNES games, or Metroidvania, whatever, dude.
Yeah, they could have done like a Mega Man 9-10 situation,
Yeah.
like just going back to like the NES style and going from there. They seem more open to working with other studios to help bring back
Now,
their series, looking at Silent Hill specifically. But yeah, I'm not sure why they haven't even because you got to know there are plenty of teams out there that would like love
to work on
Castlevania
Yeah.
and would easily pitch great ideas. So I wonder what it is that they'd want to like hold it back other than the collections they've been releasing.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's the next collection you said you wanted? The PS2 one?
I don't want the PS2 games.
Okay.
But I think the best idea would do the DS games for most people.
Yes.
Because those games are all really good.
Yeah.
But I like those PS2 games. They're not the best games, but I like them. They have a soft spot in my heart.
Huh?
When it comes back, do you want it to be a 2D side scroller? Do you want it to be 3D? What do you want? Do you want
Anything.
the God of War of Castlevania?
I pretty much want anything at this point, Ben. Like, whatever they want to try, I'm down. As long as it's an actual video game, and not a pachinko machine, I'm in.
I haven't watched any of the Castlevania stuff, but I saw the trailer for Castlevania saw the Castlevania Nocturne. I went, oh my word! And
Yes.
so now I've teed up to watch the whole thing. But I heard that an actor called Zahn McClarnon is in it. He plays one of the main characters, and he's half first generation American, half Irish ancestry. And he is a phenomenal actor. He plays an amazing part in the second series of Fargo. I mean, he's just a ridiculously good actor. And I'm even now, I just had to get up the IMDb of the team for this, and they are attracting some serious talent.
Yeah,
in this.
the first game had good voice, or first season show had good voice acting.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Some big name actors in there. Yeah, definitely watch that.
I want to congratulate. I mean, you talk about it, like what Edge Runners did for Cyberpunk. Everyone would be playing a Castlevania game off the back of the quality of what this show is. And you feel like they're missing it, but hopefully they're going to catch up. But I feel like there's money on the table here that they're not taking advantage of.
Yeah, definitely. Because their collections they've done have been super good, like really good collections. I've been very pleased with them, but there is just that want for something brand new. So yeah, hopefully we'll just get it. It's just going to take time. All right, it's time for the exact opposite. Keep it up.
Yep.
Just something we're pleased with in the games industry. We are loving it. We're feeling it. Damiani, do you have one?
I mean, obviously, besides the praises I've sung so far, for like Pikmin and also beyond just like that, like just Creative Business Unit 3, like having the new expansion, everything they're showing, and they talked about the new patch coming out. Obviously, 16 just came out, and just the how fast they can adapt, I think, is one of their biggest strengths. Going from 16 people, the messaging being like, this is it's standalone, to we've seen how popular this is, and Yoshi P saying, hey, we're considering some things, like being able to do that, not being so like set in your way that, no, this was the creator's intent, it's done. It's like, no, they really look at what fans want. So if you're looking for a developer that, will cater to fans as much as they can, this is one of the best examples. So not everyone might agree with that, but for me, it's been very impressive that they do that. And just seeing it again in action this weekend, it's just like, yes. Like, this is, do you want to understand why so many people get so passionate about this? Like, being at FanFest, I think, showed you a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Fans aren't getting invested in games, they're getting invested in people. And I think a lot of people bought Final Fantasy 16 because they trusted in the team. And I think they have done such an amazing job of setting a real precedent of how developers should interact with their fans. And I think there is this tendency to deify a lot of developers. There are these untouchable beings who live above us, who have greater ideas than us, who are untouchable. And I think that as much as Yoshi P is a very, very talented creator, he has fostered a community who are very human and allow themselves to be human. You have Soken, who is a genius, but he's also an idiot. And he lets you know that. And it's so amazing to watch these people want to interact with fans in a way that they feel like they're a part of it. They feel tangible because they literally will allow you to touch them. They will go into the audience and do this. And like, having watched them work, it isn't an act. It's like you see them. They are the same people and they haven't changed who they are. And I really think that they've created magic, and it only means that anyone who joins the team is going to have that exact same ethos. So yeah, thank you, my employers. Thank you, boss. I've loved every second of being around them, learning from them. I agree. You keep it up.
Yeah, when they were here at our studio, they were very goofy. They were having fun. They immediately went to the arcade cabinet.
Yep.
And the battle director, I forgot his name, top of my head, but he grabbed a Mountain. Yeah, he got a Mountain Dew out of the fridge, and he was like pumped up about it because he said he hasn't had one since like junior high or something like that. Yeah. They were playing like just games. It was really cool.
When I first met my hero, we just had a big hug. We just pointed at each other and went, you, like that. And it was just going, none of it was pretense. No one felt like they were better than anyone else. It's just like a real joy of kind of celebrating each other's work and really appreciating what we'd kind of like done. And it was, I love them all dearly. I think they're just wonderful humans, and they come across like they're humans. And you can only just look at the pictures from FanFest to see that and how much it genuinely means.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude. Soken. One last thing about Soken at FanFest, I forgot to say. At the end of like the Primals concert, like they just done like this intense song. Soken just in English goes, "Holy shit!" like screams it to the audience. It's like I'd never heard him swear.
That's
I was like,
awesome.
"Oh my god!"
That is
like,
awesome.
He just let it rip.
I have this video on my phone that I was like, oh, should I post this up to the internet? And I haven't, and I won't. But it's Koji and Yoshi P and another of the team, Morgan Rushton, who works in the UK with me, worked a lot on the game, all singing the Rosarian anthem, like quite drunk
awesome.
At a table, and Yoshi P does the Elwyn part where he goes again like that, and it is this beautiful, joyful moment that I have on my phone, and I really like that it's mine, that I managed to capture this moment of them just being really silly. We're at a restaurant. Everyone was kind of staring at us going, what the hell's going on? And these kind of like Larry people just singing an anthem from a game that they haven't played yet. They're awesome.
That is sick. I love that.
So good.
I need to fulfill my quota of just praising From Software. You know, it's been long enough time.
Yes. Okay.
I've played Armored Core.
There we go.
Rips. Keep it up, From Software. You're just doing fantastic work as always.
Can I add a keep it up? I know.
Yes.
I've sated the lust for praise from my employers, Square Enix, but I just want to say, keep it up, demos.
Yes.
I think that I don't think 16 would have been nearly as impactful had people not played the demo to it, and it had that impact. And as I was playing the demo to Sea of Stars, I know I've said is maybe don't play it. It just brought me back to the days of the PlayStation 1 discs that I would get, and how I've just become so obsessed. I'm just thinking like the great demos, the Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 demos that I would have just happily keep replaying and again and again and again. And I think that now we have this tool that is so available to us where you don't have to have discs. You can literally just play bite-sized things, and I really hope that PlayStation and Xbox take advantage of that and bring more people into it. So yeah, please keep it up. Demos are great.
I agree. All right. Fat J wrote in. Said, keep it up, Ben Starr, for being an awesome dude on social media and dealing with the weird memes about Clive's massive chest and other things. Yeah. Hope to see you in more roles in the future, and also you're a real one for mentioning Chain Echoes on Kinda Funny Games daily.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just speaking my truth, guys. I love the games that I like, and I want to talk about them. But yeah, anytime. Don't worry, I will keep it up. I will be talking a lot more about Clive's chest. If you want to see it, well, hey, the Warrior of Light. It was amazed. Even if I hadn't watched, which I did, if I hadn't watched the live stream, I would be very, very well aware of the Warrior of Light's fantastic chest, because I was tagged in a lot of pictures of Clive next to the Warrior of Light. It was very funny. I looked at my phone. I was like, why have I got 50 notifications? Oh, another very, very attractive chest. So that was fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, this is from Captain Falcpone. Keep it up. Larian Studios released Baldur's Gate 3 on PC a month ahead of the PS5, since the PC SKU is already complete. Especially with the competition in September with Starfield, it's good to respect players' time and not arbitrarily hold up access because of a port. Cyberpunk showed us the opposite when it launched with several broken versions. Scrap simultaneous platform releases. I think if a game is ready to go, obviously there's circumstances that could change this all the time, but I think in this case with Baldur's Gate 3 it works out well.
Yeah, I think you have to be afforded that benefit where you have nothing contractually obligated to meet certain things. When you have that freedom, then yes, respecting your audience's time by releasing a version that's done instead of holding it, that should be the way it's done.
Yeah. I agree. Especially with this, because Baldur's Gate's a good example, is because Starfield won't be on PlayStation. But if you only have a PlayStation, you can at least still play this RPG, I guess. Mm-hmm. Something. All right. And this is from My Latin Lover. Keep it up. Final Fantasy 16 does so many things right. The active time lore, stellar story, over-the-top Azura's Wrath-style kaiju battles, easy save data management, and best-in-class voice acting. The entire cast did such an amazing job bringing emotion and feeling to each scene. From the digest and the NPCs' voices as they casually badmouth the bearers, to Clive's felt cries later on, and his heartbreaking "I'll fucking kill you" in the first chapter. The industry needs more top-notch voice work. Keep it up. Yeah, that's we all felt.
Yeah. A lot of people did. That was a moment. I watched a lot of people watch that scene, and I didn't. I'd actually forgotten I'd recorded it as a line, because that line, the "I'll kill you, I'll fucking kill you," was originally going to be in the first trailer. So at the end of it, it was like, "I'll kill you if it's the last thing I do." Koji was like, "I want to get an 'I'll kill you, I'll fucking kill you," and so we recorded two versions. And then I hadn't actually recorded that scene up to that point. And then when we actually did it in game, I really went for it. And I think I don't know if I've told you guys, it was like I decided that it was Clive's soul leaving his body. I wanted it to be like the Clive that we see at the beginning of the game. Like, he needs to not have it. That moment needs to be, everything is lost. So we understand why he spent 13 years essentially just roaming around, being a husk of himself, and he allows people to pick him back up. But with regards to voice acting and keeping up voice acting, there is so much talent out there. And I really want to big up the cast of this game, the whole cast.
Yep.
Not just the amazing main characters. You know, Ralph Fiennes, obviously incredible as Sid, getting his flowers, deservedly so. It's the summer of Ralph, to be honest. But Susanna, who did a beautiful, beautiful job in bringing Jill to life. Christopher York, who played Gav. There are other characters that I don't want to talk about. But I was so blessed to work with these amazing actors. But also all the people that do supporting characters. There are people who are leads in major video games who are supporting characters in this. And there is such a great roster of talent in the UK. And so a shout out to Side UK as well, where I recorded it. They're brilliant at what they do, and they were so supportive of me through all the stuff that I went through in the game. But yeah, I think voice actors are new in an already new medium, and we're figuring out how to deal with voice actors. You know, some games don't require it because a lot of the times we just play it for the mechanics. But I think this game and other excellent story games show you the power of what performance can do, and how it can enhance your experience. So yeah, thank you, and I really hope that there are more games. Baldur's Gate 3 is a great example. The voice acting is going to be brilliant. We just know it. And a lot of my colleagues I know are in that game, and I'm really looking forward to experiencing their performances in that game. So yeah, congratulations to just voice actors in general. You do a thankless job where you're not allowed to know what the game is, and sometimes you're just shouting into a void, and you bring some of the greatest, most meaningful characters to life out of nothing. It's such a skill, so thank you for that.
Yeah, big time skill, yeah. Respect the hell out of it. All right, we got some shout outs, as always, some of our generous patrons on there on the Platinum Producer tier. We just give them a shout out every episode of this. We got Jabbawabs, Elthanas, and Greg TheDarkKnight Kettering. Ben, why don't you give them a shout out? Just give them a little shout out.
Shout out.
There you go. Yeah, just like the podcast. Yeah. Perfect.
There you go.
You did it. All right.
I did it for you. There you go.
Next game is what I've been playing. Also, is Remnant 2. Playing this little baby game right here, and a sweet baby game where I'm like, yes, this game is good. So if you're not familiar, Remnant is a third-person shooter that has a lot of Souls-like elements. It's not necessarily a true Souls-like or anything like that, but there's definitely elements in there. So basically, the game takes place in a post-apocalyptic setting. You play as these kind of like wanderer characters. There's these crystals you touch, and they take you to completely new worlds, completely out of the zones. And what's cool about these is they are randomly generated, a lot of them. Like, for instance, I played some of it solo. The first one I went to was a crystal. It took me to like a castle interior, then eventually to like a like the London street. This is Bloodborne. It was basically Bloodborne, like 18th century London streets with some freaks running around with knives and stuff like that. But I played with my girlfriend. We were in a completely different setting when I went to that. It was like a Aztec kind of like jungle area.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So it was all us going through all that stuff like that. There's multiple classes to pick from right off the bat. You start in the game. You get to a hub town, like many Souls games. Pick your class. I picked a gunslinger class. So this class is like specials. I could like whip out a revolver and quickly shoot like 6 guys, like
sick,
like that. Or you could hold it down to do a really big shot.
Nice.
On, like, if you want a single target DPS like that. But basically, you go through these environments. What's great about this game also is it feels really good. Super important for any game like this. It's third person. You're shooting. I'm playing with mouse and keyboard, so I'm right at home, rolling with the space bar. Feels great. But you're going through these environments. You're killing like weird alien kind of stuff. You're unlocking shortcuts, you know, to maybe get through an area. There's multiple floors, like elevators and stuff like that. But what's really cool is there's bosses that you fight throughout this thing. One of the earlier bosses I fought was I was in this Bloodborne area. You know, it was very like high houses around me, smoke coming out of the stacks like that. I hear this weird sound, like sound.
Okay.
I'm like, what the fuck's going on out here right now? There was like a guy on a horse on top of a roof, and he had a spear, and he just jumped off the building and started attacking me. I had full-blown panic, 'cause, you know, just some freako coming out of the sky on a horse, pretty intense. But he killed me, dead. I'm like, shit. Quick respawn, though, no big deal. Start fighting him. He starts summoning ads in, though, too. Had to take care of that. Took me like 2 tries to get him down, but I got him down. Sick. But what's cool, when you kill the bosses, you get items from them. With this item, I was able to go back to our home base and have it forged into a spear, the weapon he was using.
Oh, that's really cool.
So I also now have that spear. Not only do you have your guns, you got like 2 guns, but you also have a melee weapon.
All
so you can still get close encounters if you want to. You can do builds all around that kind of stuff. But what also is cool is I played co-op with my girlfriend also. And we definitely ran into a scenario where you needed co-op for. I think it was a puzzle.
Okay.
Because the game kind of randomly generates some elements.
Okay, because you already were, like,
yeah.
If you were solo, wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, so I was in my world, and I co-opted with her in her world. So since we were together, I believe it spawned this thing. There was a wind puzzle. There was like a big tower, and it had like certain symbols on the floor. As you went up the tower, there's symbols.
Okay.
And sometimes if you stand on the symbol, it would blow a note, like a boo, like a note would play or something like that. We went down a little bit. We found a book that had like a kind of like a layout for a song. So we'd play the notes as it laid out in the book, and it'd play a song, and we got a reward. However, there was one that was really long that you needed 2 people to do.
Oh, okay, that's
so it's like,
cool.
okay, I'm going to go on this note right here, and you go on this note right here. We'll do that, hit that note together at the same time. Does it, then you got to coordinate to go to the other ones. I was just like, oh, it's just a cool little puzzle I enjoyed doing like that. Also, the class she played as, she has like a little dog with her. Oh, and this dog you can send to like attack people while you're fighting.
Of course.
And also if you go down, you get downed, the dog can revive you one time.
There you go.
So it's like, yes, best boy, best dog kind of thing like that going in there. Super fun. Boy. Yeah. We streamed some of it.
Yes,
we played with Hubert for a little bit, so you saw us play together.
Yeah, I watched that like ice boss thing that you did.
Oh,
the swords.
Yeah.
Although the thing you explained about was really cool, how you had like a choice.
Yeah, so there's like a storyline as you go through these worlds, and you can kind of piece things together. Ben, basically, it was like some crazy gothic castle. There's this weird skeleton guy who they called the false king that killed the old king, apparently. And I talked to him, and he wanted me to kill someone that was causing him problems, essentially. And I went to that person, and it was like a mirrored version of him. And I talked to him. They had like a slightly different personality. So they're each telling me to kill the other one. So you get to choose. But what was cool about it is I noticed a little bit later on is if I looked down at the floor in the room I was in, I could see the reflection of the other version of himself. So whatever one I wanted to fight, I would just have to go to their version of the world. So I picked one of them. I picked the nicer one, it seemed like, because I was like, oh, maybe he'll give me something cool. Because if I pick the bad one, maybe he'll just like tell me to fuck off or something like that. Pretty intense fight. He had like had a melee sword, of course. He'd come in and slash at you. He had like little orbs that would spawn and also shoot stuff at you. Manage it. You could shoot. At least you could like destroy them with your guns, which is cool. But at one point, he has like giant swords.
Yeah, come up. They were intense.
It started like slamming on the ground, so you had to dodge all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Took me a little while, but I upgraded some of my gear, and that really helped up, like building up my weapon strength. Eventually took him down. Felt really good. But what's cool about when you go through a lot of these environments is there is a main path you should go, like the MSQ version, I guess, of like, hey, this path leads to the main story progress. But there's also side dungeons you can do if you want.
Okay.
And some of these dungeons most of these dungeons have like a boss also. I think you saw us do this one also, though. But we fought through an area, finally unlocked the door to get to a boss. This guy, this like weird, freaky alien thing, yelling about a feast. He's like, we're a feast, it's time to feast. And there's all this gross food on this table. And he's like, eat up, eat the food or whatever. I took a bite of it, you know, gotta do it. Take a bite of it. Your character like starts freaking out, and you have like you're like a vampire almost. It feels like you have like a line that goes down. Your health slowly drained. You're getting assaulted by guys. You're having to fight guys while your health is constantly draining. And healing items that you normally use to heal do not heal you.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is eat food off the table while you're being attacked. So you gotta go blah, 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 like gobble it up, and it takes a little bit. So you gotta be careful. And once you eat it, it's gone. But also eventually these humanoid things come out, which are essentially food to these alien people. They come out like on like a little elevator, and they're left to be eaten. You can eat them, in fact, and it's much quicker. It's like a vampire thing. You like bite on them real quick, so you get your health back. So you have to manage all that while trying to kill all these guys, which was really fun.
That's all.
I didn't know what the hell was happening like the first 2 times. I'm like, why am I dying? I'm using the healing, why am I dying? Then I was like, I kind of figured out the mechanics. So I was like, oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Brad, what you've described there, yes, you have described a fever dream. As I'm listening to you, I'm going, this game sounds fucking insane.
Yes, it is.
And I've heard so many amazing things about it. It's been like a game I think was under a lot of people's radar, and then it's kind of come up and people have gone, oh, it's significantly better than I thought it was going to be. Is it on, you know, it's inescapable that it's going to get comparisons to the other franchise that everyone compares this sort of game to, so I won't say it. But difficulty-wise, do you think that, like, where does its difficulty derive from? You said that at one point you were like, oh, I upgraded my gear so I could...
Yeah. So...
where is the... Yeah.
There's 3 difficulties you could choose from. There's like a normal one, the harder one, and like the super hard one. There's also a hardcore mode also if you want to do that, where if you die, your character's deleted. I picked the middle tier one, and it's challenging. Like, I get fucked up pretty quick if I'm not careful about some things, but it's definitely something as you play more, you just get better at, and things start to click and it's easier. But if you want a more chill time, you can just change the difficulty. Have a good time if you don't want to worry about it.
All right. Yeah.
However, so what it is like worlds. You pick your difficulty and it selects your world, and that's that world. And you make progress to that. If you want to change the difficulty or lower it, you have to reset the world.
Okay.
To change it. So you kind of have to commit, but you can go back if you get stuck. And you're like, whatever, I just need to redo this and go through it.
Okay.
And if it's like... Go ahead.
No, you carry on. I'll ask my question afterwards.
I was just going to say, like, but if you co-op with someone too, you save all your XP and stuff like that, so you get progress as you go out through the game. So, and you can team up with other players online. You can jump into their game if you want, if you're having problems or anything like that.
Teaming up, I know you were playing it on like launch day, so there was a little bit of like a little bit of woes to troubleshoot that. But when it's supposed to work as intended, it's less involved getting in with co-op than like easy. Say the other series.
Yeah, it's pretty easy because like I did it on PC before the game was out too, and it was super easy.
Nice.
Like, you say join game, they can either invite you, or you can like see a thing with everyone looking for people, and you can see their name there, and you can just
very
join
convenient.
Them there.
Yes.
Yeah. It's much more so like a Souls game is like, or Dark Souls or Elden Ring is much more like summons are kind of like temporary things. They're not meant to be something with you the entire game. They're supposed to be like little helpful things every now and then, not something you rely on the whole game. This game, you can very much play the entire thing easily with two other players.
Yeah, even in the marketing, it shows like people playing together.
They encourage co-op big time. So I think if you have buddies you want to play with, it's a great choice. One other encounter is, I guess it's technically a boss fight. It wasn't really like me fighting a boss though. It was like this room where there was lightning in the sky. You would start this thing, and lightning would slowly start coming down. And if it touches you, you're dead.
Okay.
So you have to run down this long path, but there's things along the way trying to kill you as you're going down there. And if you go too fast down there, there's another lightning thing. So you got to go in between them as they're both slowly going down.
Oh, I see.
So you got to space yourself out.
Gotcha.
You may have an instinct to run, but sometimes you got to wait. But there's like these crystals along the way that blow up if you get close to them. But however, you can destroy a lot of these things while you're making your way down there. But it just gets kind of hectic but it was really fun. I had a lot of fun doing it.
That's a cool twist on a challenge that's like not necessarily like a straightforward fight. Yeah,
which I appreciate. It wasn't just a straightforward fight. but there is definitely like straightforward fights if you're interested in that kind of stuff there too. But I've only gotten to play like I beat the first world. I don't know how many there are, but I beat it and it was taking me to a completely new place now. And I was like, dude, I can't wait to play more of this. But now I have Baldur's Gate 3, so I don't know.
Yeah, you got a lot.
I'll figure something out.
You didn't. So comparing, I know you said like the worlds generate based on whether you're a partner with someone or you're by yourself. Mm-hmm. When you're by yourself, did you think it was like as challenging? Like how would you compare like the challenge of like teaming up versus being by yourself?
I think always when you're with someone, games are always a little bit easier, no matter what. But so like when me and Hubert played together, I think we were on a lower difficulty, than what I was playing on. And when I played with Kristen, it was on a lower difficulty than I was playing on solo. Okay. There's still challenge. You still got to be careful. It's not a cakewalk, but it's easier for sure. I haven't even done the hardest thing yet, though, so I'm worried about that.
All right. Yeah.
I agree with you in some way, but I will say that the 2-player on Returnal is significantly harder than if you play.
Really? You thought it was harder? Dude, me and Hubert did it, and we like cruised through that whole game. Maybe
really?
I mean, we've beaten it before.
I was a pro at Returnal. Like I smashed that game. I became obsessed. I did my go into a hole, get the platinum trophy, do everything. Like I was obsessed with that game. And I even went I was a madman, did the DLC, did the Ascension stuff. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, playing it with someone else, I was like, why is this game? Maybe I'm an outlier here, but I just felt the 2-player part of Returnal was way, way harder.
Maybe it's who you play with. Like I was playing with Huber, so we were both pretty damn efficient at getting through that game, but I don't know. Maybe you just got like a bad, hard seed or something.
Maybe you're just really good gamers, and I'm a bad gamer, and I'm a fake gamer.
No, I think you're a good gamer. I think you.
This is like
platinum. This
is like me and Mario games with multiplayer.
Yeah,
it's way harder to play with all of you than it is just for me to go through by myself.
Yeah, maybe just the idea of having to think about another player on there with you. And sometimes it's just way easier to just zone out and focus on yourself. I could see that.
I'm a one-man band. You can't pin me down. I'm too powerful.
Can't do it.
I'll kill you.
Yeah. I understand that.
But yeah, Remnant 2, really fun.
Yeah.
I saw it sold 1,000 or 1,000,000 copies already, so I was pleased to see that. Because the first one is cool. It's definitely a game, especially with me with the first one, I thought I was like, it looks all right. We'll see how it is. But once I started playing it and getting into it, I was like, oh, this game's way cooler than I thought it was going to be.
Definitely,
it's been nice.
Seen a lot of people streaming it last week. So
it's really cool.
There were a lot of people waiting for this,
I'd highly recommend it. Especially if you got buddies who want to play a shooting game.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, let's talk about Viewfinder.
Yeah, I know you've already spoken about this. You spoke about it last
no problem,
week. I said it very, very eloquently. But I did spot some mistakes, so I thought,
Ben corrections.
No, I didn't. I didn't. You were great. But no, it's I thought I'd do a little different kind of angle on it, a different take, because I actually haven't finished it. I think I'm like one mission away, one like world away from finishing it. But I was meticulous, and I went through and I did every single kind of like minor challenge on each level, collected all the little collectibles, just to kind of like see how deep it went. And even though I've got it's split up into 5 worlds. I really, really, really like it. I think it is brilliant. I think your guys' review is absolutely accurate in it, and great review of it. And I really hope that it's a game that more people play. I think after playing a lot of big expansive story-driven games with loads of drama, to kind of chill out with a cat that you could stroke every now and again, and just like it was a real kind of like vibes game for me. And I didn't need the story. I don't need the story, but that's just me. I think with games like that, I sometimes just choose to ignore them, and that's probably sacrilege, because everyone's fantastic. The voice acting is great. I didn't need that. I would have happily just kind of procedurally gone through from puzzle to puzzle to puzzle to puzzle. I'm listening to people give brilliant performances and talk in interesting ways, but I didn't need it. But it got me thinking as I was playing it. For those who didn't listen to last week's episode, you are taking photos, you are then placing them, and they are changing the environment. Very similar to something like Superliminal or Maquette. But a game that it really reminded me of, that is a game that I didn't think it got enough love, is a brilliant game called Manifold Garden. And Manifold Garden is an amazing, masterful video game made by a developer called William Cheer, which you physically change the gravity of the world as you play it, and that's how you solve puzzles. It's amazing. And I realized as I was playing Viewfinder that those types of games, the Portal, the Entropy Center, the Superliminal, the absolutely amazing Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, if you haven't played it,
I need to play that. It's just
amazing. My God.
I've never played it.
I think that it's the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe is one of the most mind-fucky games I've ever played in the best possible way. It is a game that goes so up its own arse, you can't help but laugh. It goes so deep, and when you think you're done, it keeps going. And I just congratulate everyone who made that game. It's amazing. But what Viewfinder kind of made me realize is I love this genre, first-person puzzlers, and I really, really appreciate them. And I think it's a fantastic celebration, but most importantly, it's an accessible celebration. It isn't difficult, really. It's not too. You don't look at this and go, I can't do this. And if you get something wrong, it isn't the game, it's you, because it very cleverly gives you all of the tools early on to complete all of these puzzles. And I think it's beautiful. Especially if you get into the nitty-gritty, which I did. So there are sections of this game where you've got the main path, where you need to take a picture of a thing, move it over there, it becomes a bridge, you then turn it upside down, a battery falls, you put it on the thing, and it's problem solved. But there are all of these kind of like side pictures that you can get as well, where you will say, get an old Tamagotchi. I don't know if you're familiar with Tamagotchi.
Oh yeah.
You'll get a Tamagotchi, and if you place the Tamagotchi in front of you, what the Tamagotchi will then do is it will come to life, and you can press all of the buttons, and you have to work out if you can make it's not a Tamagotchi in this case, it's a plant. You have to water the plant, you have to give it sunlight, you have to do all of this stuff to make it grow. And it's a little mini game that is its own little thing. And you can get a little achievement for it if you do it. And it's just like, that's neat. They didn't need to do that. Or there's an even cooler thing, which I discovered the other day, where you'll place a little Game Boy, it's not officially a Game Boy, like a little retro game. And what you can do is you place the Game Boy in the game, and then you can take a picture of the Game Boy, and then you'll be able to place another Game Boy next to it. And there's like a little Mario-esque game. And in it is like a little jump bonus that you can get. And so if you take 5 pictures of that, you can get a 5 times jump bonus that can make you jump hundreds of meters up into the sky.
Whoa.
You can see the thing around you. And Viewfinder is fun because of the fact that there are these small puzzles, but it's the side stuff that I thought was just so brilliantly inventive, and the stuff that the game doesn't tell you, but if you explore, if you are curious, it will reward you. It's just a really, really neat game that isn't as shallow as it might seem on the surface. And revisiting the stuff was really fun. And when I realized that, like, oh, there's stuff to collect, I went, this is me. Ben loves to collect, so I it's like, give me something to put on a shelf. So I started going back, and as I was doing it, I started discovering all of these games. There's another one where if you plant it, you can. Oh God, it's so good. You can put this picture, and you'll fall into this now 3D version of what was like a 2D Zelda-like dungeon.
Damn.
And if you sneak in behind it, you can like press a button that like you can go behind a waterfall and find like one of the collectibles. And so it rewards you for your curiosity as well, which is obviously the most important thing in these games. So I just want to give a shout out to Viewfinder, that like if anyone who's listening to this enjoyed what you guys spoke about last week, I would say that play in that game, because it really, really, really rewards you. And I want to thank the creators for being so silly with a lot of the stuff. There is so much more than I've just said in that, but really just have a lot of fun with it. And yeah, thank you to the creators.
Damn. Yeah, I really need to play this game. It looked delightful when I saw it.
Yeah.
And you hear praise from Bloodworth, Praise It So Hard, and Ben now, too. I'm just like,
yeah.
It seems like a nice quick game. It seems like 7 hours, something like that, 6 hours. Works for me.
You can play it in 2 sittings. Absolutely.
Oh, beautiful.
You will get so much joy out of it if you just go sit down, go, tonight I'm going to play half of it, tomorrow night I'm going to play half of it, and you can get a great time that is absolutely chill. The music's really great. It's just a good time. I don't know, maybe have a beer next to you. Mm-hmm. It's a really, really fun time. But if you want to go deeper, there is that other aspect too that is just really, really, really delightful.
Sick, dude.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, everything I've seen about it looks really good.
Yeah,
just impressive how they like that tech, just being able to like
that crazy cat.
Yeah, you can pet it. You can pet the cat.
That's important. Yeah, I'm gonna leave you with a question. Then I'm gonna use the bathroom. We'll come back. Okay?
Sure.
I forgot to ask you this during the Final Fantasy part.
Oh, okay.
Tommy Lee wrote in and said, FanFest Primal's concert question. Did they follow through with Damiani's request from the interview?
Okay. So when they were here, I asked Soken, who also wrapped in Koji, into the answer about whether they would perform their rendition of Titan Lost from Final Fantasy 16 at the Final Fantasy 14 FanFest. They had a very colorful discussion about whether that would be possible, to where Soken questioned Koji's vocal abilities to be able to do all of it, which Koji's like, of course I can do all of this, like what are you talking about? And they're like, sure. And then they're like, well, maybe this is something Yoshi P has to decide. And then Soken's like, no, let's like ask the fans. If the fans say they really want it, we'll do it. And obviously they're very busy. Obviously, they want to give like a fun, playful answer. So it doesn't rule out in the future that they would ever do a live performance of that song or any 16 music. But it is currently a event for Final Fantasy 14. And so I wasn't really expecting it to be there. But they did do, so Ben, I told you that Koji dropped F-bombs during it, and he joked that 14's officially M-rated now. But before that joke, before the setup for that joke, he said officially M. After that joke, he said officially M for mature, and he said we're gonna play new songs now. And I'm like, oh wait, so you just dropped an F-bomb, you talked about becoming mature, and I'm like, wait, this has to be, is this a setup for the 16? But then it was something else. It was something from 14. So it was all exclusively 14 music, while they did perform a few songs they had not done live yet before, such as the song Scream, which is from the last raid tier of the previous raid tier of Endwalker, as well as the, I'm going to say that it's P8S Floor 1, the final fight of the last tier, part 1 of it. They played that song as well for the first time. So no, they didn't play Titan Lost, but it was still fantastic. They still had, they did a lot of the usual gags. They did the suite of Alexander Raid music. So they did Exponential Entropy. They did, not Exponential. They did Metal, the Brute Justice theme, Locus, the Alexander General Raid theme, and then Rise, which is the actual Alexander theme song, where they do the whole thing where they freeze in time, like the game mechanic at one point, and then they reanimate at the right time as well. As they said, they had like Amanda Aiken come out to do Flow Together. They had Jason, what's his full name? Revengeance, yeah. I'm so sorry. It's like I'm blanking right now. He came out to perform To the Edge, a version of the Shadowbringers theme, but like it's way better. Shadowbringers theme is really good, but this is like a critical moment in the story. I'm trying to avoid spoilers here. It was very much it was very pleasing. It was fan service to the max. And
Jason Charles Miller.
Thank you so much. Absolutely, he's a pleasure to see in person. Brings so much passion. They both did. Like like obviously, I love Revengeance. People think it's a meme, but Rules of Nature, like the music in that game, like is just. That game is an experience, and it's a well-crafted experience for what it's doing. But this, in a more serious note, he just gives it all. And same with like Amanda, her range when she's doing some of those songs, and in her and like the piano concert as well with like Keiko on the piano. But yeah, it was very good. But again, no 16 music yet. But hey, there's still 2 more Fan Fest. You never know. Maybe they will do something special at the London one. Maybe. I don't know.
I imagine that when they do something 16 related, it will all be very, very, very special. That's what I would imagine that it would be. Yeah, I mean, hey, I'll irresponsibly nominate myself to help Koji out if he doesn't want to sing those lyrics. I'll ruin my voice today. So I'll do that for him. I'll be like, don't worry, Koji, I got this. I'll sing it for you.
All right.
Yeah. So.
Do you have anything else?
No, that was it. Yeah. Someday, yeah, you're right. Even if it's not at a 14 event, I have to believe that they'll do like a concert series, maybe even like some other concert series. The Primals also do go on tour sometimes and do like an individual concert. So maybe they could do it for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a story about Titan. It's not that interesting, a story about Titan Lost, but I remember the first time I ever heard it because I'd recorded that sequence and I was like, this is mad. This is a mad sequence.
Yes.
And I had to like do all the jumps, like, but as if free, jumping from bit to bit to bit. And I think like 2 or 3 months later, I would have these like monthly check-ins with Koji. He was in Japan still because of lockdown, and he would play me stuff, and he was like, "Do you want to hear the Titan music?" I was like, "Yeah, I do." And I was like, "Are you sure this is the right game?" I was like, what? He was like, I know, right? It's mad. I went, it's mad. But I love how people. It's such a shift, and in that moment, which is a crazy, crazy moment in the game, I love just how excellent it is, and I think it really fits with just kind of like how amped up and how much these 2 characters just. Yeah. That's and I without saying too much.
Yep.
Yeah, they do not like each other. And it's literally rock against fire. They hate each other, and it's just, you can sense that, and it's a really kind of great illustration of how they feel.
So good. Yes.
All right, let's get into our email segment.
Sure.
We're just going to go through some questions from our patrons that they sent in. Reminder, if you want to send a question, patreon.com/easyallies, $5 and up lets you send in questions to this show and many of our other shows. We'd greatly appreciate if you headed on over there. All right, first question is from Dustin Furman, friend of mine, actually, over at Last Stand Media. He said, "Hello, Brad and Damiani and Ben. Now that Final Fantasy 16 is out in the wild, it's clear that Clive Rossfield is potentially the best lead in Final Fantasy. With that said, how awesome would it be to see Clive in Kingdom Hearts 4? I'm imagining a conversation playing out with Sora, Donald, Goofy, and Clive discussing the Master of Masters. To Ben specifically, are you a Kingdom Hearts fan, and does this idea intrigue you? Thanks and stay well, Dustin."
I'd love Clive to have a life in any sort of thing after this game, obviously, because I love him dearly. I played Kingdom Hearts 1. My history with Kingdom Hearts is I played Kingdom Hearts 1 on PS2 back in the day. I remember having the guide. I just, seeing Squall again, seeing my boys, seeing everyone together was just absolutely awesome. I rigged out my ship. It probably looked absolutely insane, but yeah. Then I never picked up Kingdom Hearts 2, and I just feel like I'm incredibly out of my depth. However, I love the Kingdom Hearts fandom. I think they're just delightfully insane, and I love how passionate people are about it, and the idea that potentially there's a world in which Clive could join that is really awesome. I've watched a load of people stream Kingdom Hearts, because it looks a lot of fun. The combat system looks absolutely amazing. So no, I'm not up to date. I feel like, how many games would I have to play to get up to date? Like 10 games?
Well, thankfully they're all in collections.
Yeah, they're all in collections now, which is nice. Like you can play all of them.
Some of them aren't even games anymore. 2 of them got turned into just like movies, so you don't have to play them anymore.
Yeah. Like the least cool ones, probably.
Yeah, the ones
DS
that
ones.
probably wouldn't have been fun to play through anymore. I'm just thinking about, while you're thinking about, I'm just
7?
thinking about 7, maybe. I get, like, do you want to count them?
Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yep.
Then you'll have to do Chain of Memories.
Yep.
Then you'll have to do 2. Mm-hmm. Then you'll have to do Birth by Sleep. Mm-hmm. Then you'll have to do Dream Drop Distance. Uh-huh. Then you'll have to do 2.8. I didn't even think about 2.8.
Yeah. So
then you got to do 3.
Okay, so those are the playable ones. And then you watch Recoded and 358 over 2 days.
Yeah.
And then there's the mobile thing, which is being turned into
they incorporate
something.
some of that in
So
yeah, but
do you think 4 is going to be a reset? Do you think it's going to be a reset, or do you think that
it's kind of so? It's like a Final Fantasy 14 situation, kind of, where the main arc that they were telling throughout these other games is over, but in 3 they were kind of placing pieces into what the next major arc will be.
Yeah.
So it's like a new arc kind of thing, but I'm not sure how much you'll need to know. It's hard to say.
We don't know yet. Yeah.
Because we've barely seen anything from the game, but I feel like you will always get more out of it if you've played the other ones.
Yeah.
But that game's like not coming out till 2025. So
Yeah.
if people are curious about it, you got time.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about trying to get Clive dropping an F-bomb to Sora. And like Disney having to having to see that and just seeing Disney reactions to F-bomb in Kingdom Hearts. Or would they have to make Clive behave a little bit?
Much more than swearing. He doesn't swear that much. He wouldn't swear at Sora. Not Best Boy Sora. No.
And what if they use like teenager Clive? I have no idea.
Yeah, they say and great opportunity for maybe Torgal, maybe.
Torgal and Goofy bonding moment.
Yeah,
Pluto.
I like that. Yeah, that could be some nice stuff.
I'd love to see it. I'd love to see it as an opportunity for Clive and Cloud to team up.
In 2, Squall and Cloud team up for a little bit. So if we can get Clive in there also with them, that's like going to make the internet explode. That's a moment.
Yeah,
that's a moment.
And this is making me like. So go ahead. Sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
No, you carry on. I have nothing interesting to say.
Yeah, right.
I think you do.
I think you do too.
I think you do.
The character keeping Clive alive, maybe if there's like no more 16 stuff. Another thing I thought of that could be very realistic is if they ever revisit the Dissidia franchise, because it's kind of like they're celebratory and everyone's going to be asking for Clive in there. So that would be like the perfect avenue, because as a fighting game and having Clive in that would be
awesome.
Really exciting to say. This just popped into my head as we were discussing this. Like, there's probably sometime in the next few years that next one will come along and we're going to get Clive in there as well.
Yeah. Obviously Square never tell me anything. Like they would never trust me with any information, but I got really excited in the lead up to the release of 16 because there is that famous Dissidia image of all the heroes in a circle.
Yeah.
I just thought, wow. And what got me really excited is the thought that Clive is going to even metaphorically join that circle of heroes, and just kind of thinking where we've been and where we are and where we're. And so even if Clive isn't, the idea that like in the canon of Final Fantasy there is a new hero, I am that hero, is just really, really mad. I'd love that. That would be so cool. And again, Square don't tell me anything, so I'm
don't ask them.
I wasn't. I was just saying it's cool.
Oh, I know. I met people out there. Don't ask them. All right, this next question is from RF Switch. Greetings, allies and Ben. Since you're talking about Final Fantasy 16, I want to ask this. What is your favorite Final Fantasy in the series, and what sets it apart from the others in your mind? For me, it's Final Fantasy 4, which I feel is an amazing piece about characters and relationships, friendly and otherwise, that I feel aren't really as well written in other games. I know your favorite one.
Yeah, I don't shut up about it. It's 8. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the best, but it's my favorite. It's the one that got me into the franchise in the first place. So yeah, but what I do love is questions like this, where they go, "What's your favorite? This is mine." And I think no one would argue with you if your favorite any of the franchise, because there are lots of people who 16 is going to be their favorite because maybe it's their first one, or maybe it's when they hit them at the right time in their life. And I think that's what's so great about this 35, 36-year-old franchise. 8 is my favorite because it's the first one that I played, and I went from a world of not having played a Final Fantasy game to having seen the light and seeing basically what was possible in video game, and then realizing that I also had 7 other ones that I could have played, and by this point 9 then came out the next year. Just think about that. Like in 7, 8, and 9 came out within what, like 3.5 years of each other, or something stupid.
Insane.
Like that. It's insane.
Yeah, insane really output.
Is. And I think that PlayStation 1 era of Final Fantasy just is mind blowing.
Chef's kiss
with how good they were. It is, and the fact that I also wouldn't disagree why people say 6 is the best of all time, because again, I went back and played 6 after playing all of those, and I just thought, wow, this many characters, this many stories, and also the boldness of the storytelling of where that story goes. People say 16 is dark. Like the things that happen, just because it's little pixel art doesn't mean it's not
right.
Quite. Imagine seeing that in full HD.
Yeah,
that'd be quite something. So yeah, I love it, and also cards. You can't go wrong with a few cards.
Ooh,
so,
triple triad. Yeah, can't go wrong with that.
Yeah. I was made into a card. Someone made me into a.
Damn, that's sick. Wow.
Yeah,
that's
in a
awesome.
Seed uniform and everything. Yeah,
that's sick. Damiani, yours is 4?
So my favorite 2D one is 4.
And then 3D's 10.
10. Yeah. 4, kind of similar. 4, when it was known as Final Fantasy 2 in the US, that was my first experience with Final Fantasy. Finished it later, but was really drawn in by the characters, the world, and just I have a special attachment to that, so I always replay it whenever I get a chance. And then there's a large gap because I didn't jump in during the PlayStation era. I missed 7, 8, and 9 during their initial release, but was very hyped on PlayStation 2. Everything I saw about Final Fantasy X looked great. For whatever reason, the PS1 era of Final Fantasy's aesthetics didn't really speak to me at the time. So I kind of mostly tuned it out. Obviously the FMV stuff was really cool to watch on videos back then, those super compressed low res videos, but they were mind blowing. But then 10, everything I saw about 10, I was like, oh my God, it's so realistic. Actually, the game looks like this too. There's voice work now. Oh wow, this is a big deal. And as I said, just love that setting and the nature of it, it being a pilgrimage. It's literally a pilgrimage as you are taking Yuna across Spira, and just seeing that camaraderie, that building. Obviously Tidus being a fish out of water, but learning to accept his situation and mature over it, and just getting to know those characters so well, and actually giving you a thing what wasn't easy to solve. I like how it presented a really big critical issue that you needed to solve. And it wasn't through the power of friendship we'll solve it. It's no, we are struggling to find an answer to this that has plagued this world for 1,000 years. They made it feel this is legitimate. This isn't by Deus Machina or something. And the solution made sense. It was because of Tidus's association with Jecht and Jecht's association with what is going on in the world. So it's really felt very rewarding on both gameplay for one of the best turn-based systems at the time, and narratively. I understand people have their gripes with the voice work, but you have to understand that was the first time they were attempting voice work in a Final Fantasy game. It was just so new. Before that was Metal Gear Solid was the only thing I had tried this, and I was this is amazing to hear these characters talk, and was very special.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. The voice acting at the time. It's rad.
I still think it is. I still think it is really good. I think James Arnold Taylor, there's a reason why, he's voiced some of the most iconic characters of all time. And I get to meet Hedy Barres in 2 months' time at CooperCon. He plays
nice.
Yuna. I think I can't believe I get to meet Yuna. yeah, 10 is so amazing. And I like narratively, the moment when we find out what the final summoning is for real, the moment where Tidus finds that out, I think is so brilliantly performed. That refusal to accept the truth, and it's such a gut punch. I think it's performed brilliantly, and I think the story is told at a brilliant pace, and it really did take me by surprise. I didn't realize it, and I think there are so many great beats in that story that are seeded in really good ways, kind of allow it to be, I think, one of the most emotionally resonant games of the series, if not the most. I think it's so powerful, especially the ending, and everything about it is so beautiful. The romance is unparalleled, I think, in 10. I think it's so that sequence of the Macalania Woods. My best friend Nick Turner at the time, and I would just watch that scene, going, "This is ridiculous." The graphics here, the music, the romance was amazing. Yeah, I love 10.
Yeah. Obviously, my favorite's 7.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people know that.
Yep.
It was not the first one I played. The first one I played was the first game back in the day on NES. Too hard for me at the time when I was very young. Then I rented 6 for a while too, but I never owned it. But it was 7 that like made me buy it. Like I bought a PlayStation to play that game. I'd never seen anything like a game like that at the time. Just like even the marketing, like nothing was cooler at that time than Cloud on that motorcycle. Nothing.
Yep.
It was peak 90s aesthetic.
Oh yeah, you couldn't go anywhere without seeing that marketing. If you were into like video games whatsoever, didn't matter if you weren't in a PlayStation. It was everywhere.
Yeah, it was insane.
Am I right in saying that Cloud on a snowboard was on the back of the original box? I think in the UK it was.
Maybe a screenshot. Yeah.
Like the fact that they sold that RPG off the back of snowboarding is like, it shows you the era that we were in. And again,
90s.
Final Fantasy VII mini games, incredible.
Yeah.
Yes, the story's amazing, but the gold saucer blew me away. The fact that I could play all these games as well as all the other stuff. It was the diversity within that game of like playing options. It's mad what they achieved. Love that game.
It's insane. All right. This question is from Cabbage Lad. Question for Ben. What was the process like for interpreting emotion in the game? I.e., would you only have the script and decide how you wanted that to be portrayed, or would you have the mocap as well to guide you through? Thoroughly enjoying both game and performance. Thank you.
It really varied. So I knew Clive's journey. I was given the script really early on, and the team walked me through what Clive's journey was the whole way. So I knew kind of where we were at in the story. And that was why it was really annoying first month, because I thought I was going to be fired because they'd already told me the end of the game. So I just thought, if I get fired then, and I've ruined it. I know the end of Final Fantasy 16, that's annoying. But emotion in these games is actually not that difficult to come by, because you just got to be real with it. You know, like you're not kind of seeing any of all the crying and the sobbing and the stuff and the anger. The anger was fun to channel, to be honest. There's a scene in a castle where Clive faces off against Hugo Kupka, and he hates him. He absolutely hates him, and there's a scene where you'll get no pity from me, Kuka, no pity and no mercy, and I love saying that line, because Clive goes on this massive journey. You see him in really tender moments. You see him vicious, violent, angry. You see him broken, and I'm never going to get to play a character like that again, ever. Like it's a huge emotional journey, but. In the sad scenes, the team just said, do what you want, just do what you want, and they let me go. And so a lot of the stuff that you see, especially towards the end of the game, or like the end of the demo, for instance, those moments, they just said, just do it. There was pretty much no direction. It was like, you just go and interpret what you want to interpret. And so that's why some of it is quite unexpected, because it surprised me when I was doing it. And there's a scene towards the end of the game that's quite emotional, and that was one take that we did. It's like a 9-minute scene, and the team just said, "Do you want to see it beforehand?" I went, "Nah, it's good. I'll do it." So I'm reading those lines on the fly, and that entire reaction is raw and real, because it's what I would do in that situation. And so I got to know the team so well that we had that freedom to trust each other, and them to trust me that I wasn't going to do something that was wrong. And so that's why I'm so proud of some of that work, because that is ours. That is us going, this is what we want to give to this project. And there is like, that's me right there giving it to you. So yeah, that's what it was.
Damn. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. This is from Matthew Robinson. It's the first time I've written in despite being a fan / patron of GT / EZA for years. But with Ben being on the show and the question already in my head, I thought there is no better time to submit something. I'm now most of the way through FF16, and the thing that I am enjoying the most are the accents. For context, I've been living abroad for a few years now, but I'm originally a lad from north of England, south of Scotland, and the northern / Georide accents used so heavily throughout Valencia have brought a smile to my face and made me long for home, especially with a Clive close to me in my own life. I was therefore wondering how much the Allies could follow some of the unique northern phrases and sayings being used throughout the game, and were there any memorable lines that stuck out to you? And to Ben, what flexibility did you have in delivering your lines when recording? As I have noted that the subtleties rarely match the spoken words. Or I'm sorry, but I have noted that the subtitles rarely match the spoken words, especially with characters like Mid say things like "me da" instead of "my dad." Thanks for taking my question. If you do, love and respect, Matt.
Firstly, Brad, I want to say congratulations for reading that out. And I think all Geordies from now on should be called Georides.
Yeah, is it Geordies?
So it's Geordies, yeah.
That's
it's
funny.
Geordie accent.
Shorties. Geordies.
But I'm loving Georides is so cool.
That's like a little geostigma, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have no idea.
Of course, so why would you? It's not an accent that you ever come across. I think this has probably been a thing about the game, is like how people outside of the UK have never really heard a lot of the accents before. It's so specific to a part of the UK. I actually went to university in that area. Went to a university in a place called Durham, which is in the northeast of England, and a beautiful part of the country. Northumbria, amazing kind of medieval castles, but like Newcastle is often Newcastle, Middlesbrough. It's like it's a really, really amazing part of the country, but you don't often see characters depicted in like that. And it was one thing that the team, that Koji, that Morgan really wanted to push through, was that they wanted those accents. They wanted that accent there, the Geordie accent. And so they found actors that can do it, and they only auditioned actors who had Geordie accents.
Sick.
So yeah, and they really wanted that part of the world to only have that.
Yeah.
So yeah. Did you understand any of it?
Yeah. I felt like characters said stuff and I would understand it. Maybe, Ben, okay, so growing up, my parents constantly watched British mysteries, and they still do. So I felt like I was exposed to a lot of that as I was growing up, just accents and just kind of understanding what they meant. Like, maybe I don't know a direct translation of what you'd say, but I think I would understand the idea of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I would get the gist of it, but not like maybe the very subtle, super things about it. So I was never like them saying stuff in the game. I was never like, I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, kind of thing.
Yeah. If I ever have I will like always look something up. Like I like when something comes up, I'm like, I actually haven't heard this or don't know. I'm not familiar with that word. Let me go check it out. But obviously working in this industry, like, you know, being, you know, not necessarily wordsmith, but like command of like English language is kind of a prerequisite. But At the same time, a lot of these games do expose you to a lot of things you're just not as familiar with. I will say, like Final Fantasy 14, that English localization team really loves to pull some stuff out of olden times, and it's like, wait, what did I just hear?
Yeah, that game.
I'm like, what? Like old Yuri Anjay. It's like, what?
Yeah, he's like
Wait, slow
Shakespeare.
down. I gotta reread that again because holy shit! Like, and they just pull it off so seamlessly. It's like, wow, you are on a just different level. Sometimes it's insane.
There's the line that's been doing the rounds. Lots of people have been clipping it that I really love with Harpocrates talking about Torgal, and it's the one where they go. Oh, I can't remember the exact line. It was like, well, only earlier I found him with his head in my nut.
Yeah.
Which I've heard so many people have clipped, which is so much fun. And Harpocrates up to that point has been quite like a very smooth, calm individual, and then you can just hear the glee when you're hearing the double entendre of "head in my nuts."
Yes.
I absolutely love. It's a very cheeky game. You know?
Yeah,
there are
absolutely.
lots of like silly wordplay.
Absolutely.
There is a side quest called Cock and Ball.
Yes.
It's like,
Shout out to Tomes, dude. Love
that
Tomes.
is, yeah. They like to have fun.
All right, this is from Nick Ukman. Question for everyone. Now that all the new games are out of the way, I decided to go back through my backlog and bought Horizon Burning Shores. Was excited to jump in, but after 5 minutes, I realized I can't remember how to play this game anymore or any of the upgrade systems or what I was upgrading. My question is, have any of you ever put in this position, returning to a DLC after a while, maybe not knowing how to play? Exact same thing happened to you with that game. I did play Burning Shores, and it had been a while, and I was like, oh shit, I don't remember how to play any of this at all. Because you got all these like different weapon types and everything like that. I was just like, dude, it took me like an hour and a half to get back into the swing of things.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time because generally more and more I'm less favorable towards waiting for DLC too long.
Sure.
So most of the DLC that I really enjoyed and gravitated towards was a little bit more in close proximity to the original release of the game. Like Xbox 360, PS3 days, like played a lot. I feel like I played way more DLC back then, and things would come out within a month or two back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think one that would have been a good one, but I never dove into it was the Kingdom Hearts 3 DLC. Because it was a whole year after.
Yeah.
That would have probably been like, oh gosh, yeah, how do I do this again? Especially since
it's so
skewed a little bit more
combat-focused,
difficult too. Wasn't some of the content skewed a little bit more difficult in that? Yeah. So it would have been
super bosses.
Yep.
Like, a lot of that is super bosses.
So that might have been a little bit more of a painful experience to have to
it was
endure
tough.
that.
For sure, it was tough. What about you, Ben? Anything?
I have two. I have two examples. Okay. One was The Witcher 3 when I jumped into Blood and Wine, and they'd completely revamped it. They had changed the hell out of that game by the time Blood and Wine was full expansion, obviously an amazing expansion. But I remember just thinking, I don't even remember the menus at this because they just shifted everything around. So that was a real shock. But again, Blood and Wine, wow, CD Projekt, well done on
Fantastic expansion.
Just a gold standard of kind of single player expansions. And then the other one was recently, when it was maybe like last year, I played Intermission. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intermission. After I played Remake when it first came out, I did everything I possibly could. I just, you know those systems inside and out, especially when you go through and replay it on hard mode, the game really shifts. I'm like, I am good at this game. And then you play Intermission, which is Yuffie's story. But what happens after you complete that is you get extra modes, you get extra boss battles in 7. So I thought, well, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do that and try and defeat Weiss. That was a mistake.
Yeah, he's tough.
That was about 6 hours of me in menus trying to respec and relearn how to play as Tifa. Like it was worth it because it's amazing, and the feeling of defeating him just like, yeah, fuck you. But it was that was an experience of going. You didn't just have to read, because you only play as Yuffie in the DLC, but relearning how to play at the highest possible level in the hardest possible boss. Like, it's literally saying sprint at rocket speed before you can walk. That was a real shock.
Yeah. Those boss fights, some of them are super tough. The more are like really tough optional bosses. You can really see that in Kingdom Hearts games where I'm like, dude, these are insanely hard.
Yeah.
All right, 2 more questions. This second to last one is from Diego. Hello, Brad, Damiani, and Ben. As of recently, I've been obsessed with collecting art books for all my favorite games, from Persona 5 to Breath of the Wild to Final Fantasy Ultimania archives. Square recently announced the Final Fantasy 16 art book releasing next year has me pretty hyped. Are there any games whose art direction you enjoy enough to get dedicated art books of? Thanks for all the work you do, and thanks to Ben for the fantastic performance that brought me to tears. Love and respect. I have several game art books. I have like the Amano one that has like 3 separate Amano books within it that is just insanely beautiful.
Yeah.
I have a couple of Dark Souls ones. Got a lot of their artworks in there, and I have Zelda's one. I have a couple Zelda ones, I think, also.
Yeah, they released like 1 or 2 in the last few years.
I have a Persona 5 one also.
Nice.
Trying to think else at the top of my head. I can't think at the top of my head.
I've got Valkyria Chronicles. They call them like Sega Visual Works, so those are really good. The Tales of series, I've got a few of those from the earlier, from like Vesperia, especially Vesperia. But also, obviously, Final Fantasy 14 always comes out with multiple art books, and they're great because they also have like extra like lore information on them. They do their dedicated lore books. The Eorzean Encyclopedia, a new volume is coming out. It's like, oh gosh,
what is that, volume 3?
Volume 3. I haven't even finished reading.
I almost bought volume 1, then I was like, I have no space for this.
Yeah, it's like, in case we didn't talk about it real quick, but someone asked about active time lore. There's a thought that just came in my head. Sorry, it's so random. I really hope 14 adopts active time lore.
I hope every game adopts
because
that.
then I wouldn't need to bring out Encyclopedia Eorzea every time I have like a question. Oh, wait, what is that referencing? Anyway, yes, the 14 art books are really great. Like, you get to see all the character art. You get to see the all the environment art, the fieldwork art, the dungeon art. Like, they get very granular with that stuff too, and all the notes from the artists in there are just really, really good information.
Yeah. Do you have any, Ben?
I don't have a single art book, and that's not because I didn't want them. But I have every single Final Fantasy guide ever.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have every single one. Well, at least the piggyback ones. In the UK, we released them on piggyback. I know I think you had. Was it Prima?
Yes. Those were most of ours. Yeah.
Yeah. I've got some Prima Final Fantasy anthology ones and stuff because you couldn't get those. But yeah, I was an avid collector of the strategy guides because I just thought they were so beautiful. And so, I think they didn't do one for 16, but I've got the beautiful hardback one for 15. And I just really thought that the 12 one is gorgeous. It looks like an old tome. And I just have those on my shelf. Also, the ones for Ni no Kuni. Shout out to Ni no Kuni.
Oh, yeah.
What a game. Actually, the team who localized 16 worked on Ni no Kuni. They're the reason why Drippy was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know all about like the work that went into Drippy and stuff, and capturing that like the comedy bits and like the flavor text of that from Japanese to English. And so you use that like popular Japanese comedy duo for the source of it, but they wanted. Oh yeah, I'm a huge Ni no Kuni fan too. And the physical edition with that book, the tome that came with it, with all the spells, because the game wanted you to look that up. It was like they really haven't made a game like that since, where you had a physical item that you needed to reference for all that, and it's so good. Yes, so good.
Ni no Kuni is a masterpiece. If you're ever in the UK, I'll make sure you meet the team. They are they're so talented. They worked on Dragon Quest 11 as well. Like, they are an absolute crack team. They're a crack team, and I
love Ni no
Kuni. It's been a pleasure working with them. Yeah,
the VO in that game is so good. Yeah, it's just top notch.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything else?
No,
to say?
no. I just was going to sing their praises, and,
Oh,
and I love.
please,
I just,
sing the
let's do an
praises.
let's just do an entire podcast on Ni no Kuni. Just in general, because
I'm
that
very
game
down
needs
for
love.
this.
Yeah.
I'm very down for this.
I never finished the first one, but I beat 2.
So do you know technically when you say first, you actually don't mean the first? Right?
I mean the first in the West.
yeah,
right?
there you go. Because the DS version
Yeah.
was the first one.
The
that we
first
ever
one
got
available here.
Although they did fan localize that. Highly recommended too. Even more reliant on the book than the
Oh,
PS3
wow.
version. Yeah.
All right, this is from Daniel Matos. Simple question for Ben Starr. What was your favorite small character moment in Final Fantasy 16? There are lots of big dramatic cutscenes where characters confront each other or are tearfully reunited. But what's more a low-key, understated moment between Clive and another character that stands out to you?
I really like. It's a moment that most people probably actually got to, that I really liked, and it's actually not like a happy moment, but I really love it in the game. And it is it's when you're in Sambrek for the first time, and it's the Chloe quest when you are asked to go and find Chloe, this little play thing, and I think it's probably when the game really reveals it to you about how savage this game can be, and that I really liked, because Clive goes off.
Yeah.
Goes off on the person who sends him on that quest, and it was really interesting. Again, it was unexpected when we did it, and it's just a small little interaction, and it shows you maybe how savage the world can be, and also how invested Clive is. I think his reaction to that moment shows you. It says so much about his past. It says so much about his abandonment from his relationship with his mother, and how the idea that if you are branded in this world, and I love it because I think in that simple quest it distills Clive's entire relationship with the idea of being a bearer and magic and stuff, and I love it. And I really love what we did with it in that moment.
Definitely super intense themes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think you really got the point across, and yeah, I do think that was a really good moment. Absolutely in the game. That's it. We're done. We got it. We did it all. We went through everything. Ben, thank you for joining us.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to chat with you as always.
Thank you for having me.
Whenever you start your 14 journey, you let us know. We'll be there, willing to help, whatever help you want.
Yep.
Me and Damiani are absolutely
I am a
down.
very hands-off approach with 14. I've seen how many new people try and get in and how many people try and over-explain things, and I know the beauty of that game is do it for yourself, and when you have questions, you'll seek out the answers. So obviously, if you know any guidance, glad to give, but I really highly suggest trying to do it on your own first. As much as you can, because it's such a journey. But yeah, I can't wait to see it. Even if it's could be like we can't be a part of it for whatever reason, I still will be happy to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Most important part is that you play it and have a good time.
Yeah. Start designing the world premiere graphic now.
Yeah, then once you get to a raid or a dungeon, you can get killed because Damiani doesn't tell you stuff like what happens to me all the time. He loves to watch me suffer in good ways, but it is fun.
He's a hard master. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I will gladly let you watch me die again and again and again. Because I'm terrible at it.
Which is funny because I mostly, as Brad says, I mostly play healer with you. So
Yes,
it's like,
so if I die,
then
you
it's
heal
like
me.
then you get to blame me because it's like, well, you didn't tell me, but why didn't you like keep me alive then? Like,
Yeah.
Ben, if people want to find out more about you, where can they go?
You can probably find me on social media talking silly things in Clive's voice or something. No, I'm on the X, as
The
we
X,
now know it,
that's
platform.
right.
I
Yes.
refuse to call it that. It's Twitter. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at the _Ben_Star. And I'll be there. And feel free to join in the tomfoolery that happens with me on there. I love to be very, very silly.
Yeah, lots of good pictures with your dog. I appreciate
He's
those.
right there.
Oh, he's right there.
He's
Wow.
right there asleep. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He came in halfway through and pitted around and pitter-pattered around, and I was like, Milton. And there was a ball directly underneath this sofa that he was just staring at for a good hour. And I just had his face looking at me like, Milton, you're not getting that ball. So now he's just dejected on the floor over there.
Okay. Awesome. Damiani, do you have any final thoughts? Are you good?
Oh, this was great. Thank you so much again. And good talk. Glad to share our best thoughts. And,
maybe sometime in the future we could talk 16 more and something like that. Maybe we can get into the nitty gritty down the line eventually.
Oh, yes.
When it is permitted.
Would love to get into it.
Because, I have many questions still. So hopefully we'll figure something out with that. Thank you for watching in, listening, sending questions in. We appreciate it as always. We are easy allies. Check us out on YouTube. We got streams on Twitch. We got all that good stuff. We'd appreciate it if you stopped by and said hello. Once again, thank you, Ben, for hanging out with us. I know this was a long session, but you did great. We made it through.
It was a lot of fun.
So, until next episode, everybody, we'll see you all next time. Take care.